Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin tonight's Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, March 14th, 2023. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Here.
Councilmember Henderson,
Here.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Here.
Councilmember Love.
Here.
All members of the council are present, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So tonight we had no closed session, so we're going to begin next with the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight that will be led by Drew Jackson and Chioma Obinwa. Immediately following that, we're going to have our invocation by Pastor Dwight Dudley. So at this time, please stand, and if our pledgers can come to the front.
Face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please continue standing. Pastor Dudley.
It's always a joy to come and have an opportunity to pray and minister at the city. And you guys are all aware, but I'm not sure they do. But you have a great association here, and you call for the pastors of all denominations to come together and share in the community. And I have to tell you, that really does bless me. And it is really a joy to be here. And these little guys, I love when they come and share the Pledge of Allegiance. You guys are doing a great job. I want to share a word with you. And this is what the Lord says. He says, "Be it far from me, for them that honor me. I will honor, and they will be blessed." And as you guys call for pastors in all of the activities and the council meetings and the things that the Lord is doing, He's going to bless you. If you've seen so many wonderful things that the city of Gardena has done, you wait and see what He has planned for those that honor Him. Father, I thank you for this opportunity to be with this council, with the mayor. Father, how awesome it is. We thank you, Father, for their outreach for the homeless, the outreach for those who are the homeowners and the business owners, the schools. We thank you for their police departments and those that give their life daily, who stand in the gap, blessing those and helping others, Father. We're just in awe of what this city does, the blessings and the building and the changing and the doing well, Father, for this community. We thank you, Father, for all that they've blessed us with and that they'll continue to bless us with. We pray for wisdom, knowledge, understanding to touch and change the lives of this community, and for those that lead this community, this council, Mayor Tasha and Mayor Pro Tem Paulette, and Lord, all that they're doing, every council member who is here called by you for your children here in the city of Gardena. We thank you for them. We ask you to continue guide and lead them and bless this great city. And we thank you and we praise you for all you're doing and what you're going to do. In Jesus' name. Amen.
You may be seated. If I can have our two pledgers come back to the front. So tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by Drew Jackson, who is in the 4th grade, and Chioma Obinwa, who's in the 6th grade at 156th Street Elementary School. So Drew is a charismatic 4th grader who excels at creative writing and is an avid reader and especially enjoys fantasy novels. So Chioma is also attends 156th Street School and is an exemplary 6th grader as a co-founder for school's reading club and a dedicated big sister to her siblings. She is an example of excellent leadership at school as well as at home. So I'm going to start with Drew. Drew, can you tell us who you brought with you tonight?
I would just like to thank my mother, Thea Jackson, and my aunt, Maya Douglas, for supporting me and bringing me here tonight.
Okay, everyone, let's give them a round of applause. And Chioma, can you tell us who brought you tonight?
Tonight, my mom, Sylvie Bernardo Binwa, brought me here tonight, and I'm very thankful for being able to come here and honor America and the flag.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Give her a round of applause as well. I'd like to thank both of you guys for leading us in tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. You guys did a wonderful job. Continue doing good in school, and we look forward to seeing you back, maybe in a few years, to lead us once again. Thank you, guys. All right.
Thank you.
Pastor, if you can come back to the front again as well. So tonight's invocation was led by Pastor Dwight Dudley at Calvary Chapel, South Bay, which is located at 19300 South Vermont Avenue. Dwight Dudley has served as a pastor and minister lead at Calvary Chapel South Bay for over 20 years. He is deeply involved, working with others for the sake of the gospel by actively counseling people in God's Word. He continues to be instrumental in the planning and visitation of those ailing who are at home, in the hospital, and in convalescent and care homes. He has a heart to pray and brings comfort to those who are sick and to families who have lost their loved ones. Currently, Pastor Dwight oversees and actively serves in a military ministry, Servant Heart Ministry, his Healing Hands Ministry, and Security Ministry. Pastor Dwight has been happily married to his wife, Robin, for 40 years and is the proud father of 5 children and 7 grandchildren. His background of being a former United States Marine Corps Recon Marine who served in Vietnam as a construction builder and in security, he has prepared which has prepared and served him well in the various aspects of ministry at Calvary Chapel, South Bay. Pastor, would you like to say anything?
Well, thank you very much. And it's always a joy and a pleasure to be here and get to share God's Word, especially in a city that is doing so well. You guys do a remarkable job. And I'll tell you what, when I think of the city of Gardena, I used to be a resident here, and now I'm over in Harbor City area. But I love you guys. You're doing a terrific job. Everything you do is spot on. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, and we appreciate you leading us in tonight's invocation. Please give him a round of applause. So let me do some quick housekeeping here. So tonight, if you would like to participate in the meeting, you can participate via the following options. Some people are viewing tonight's meeting live on Spectrum Channel 22 or online at youtube.com/City of Gardena. One of the second ways to participate is prior to the meeting. You can always email our Deputy City Clerk at publiccomments@cityofgardena.org by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting and write public comments in the subject line. And the third way is to attend the meeting in person, as all of you are doing. If you'd like to make a comment, we have our public comment portion. The City Council will hear from the public on any item on the agenda or any item of interest that is not on the agenda at the following times. Agenda items at the time of the City Council when we consider the item or during oral communications. If it's a non-agenda item, during oral communications. If it's a public hearing tonight, at the time of the public hearing listed on the agenda. If you wish to address the council, please complete a speaker request form. It looks like this, and present it to the city clerk or sergeant at arms. Will you guys please raise your hand for a sec? Thank you. You will be called to the podium by name when it's your turn to address the City Council. The council cannot legally take any action on any item not scheduled on the agenda. Some items may be referred for administrative action or scheduled on a future agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the City Council will be given 3 minutes to speak. So also, we have standards of behavior that promote civility at all of our public meetings. We treat everyone courteously here. We listen to others respectfully. We exercise self-control. We give open-minded considerations to all viewpoints. We focus on the issue and avoid personalizing debate, and embrace respectful disagreement and dissent as democratic rights, inherent components of an inclusive public process, and tools for foregoing sound decisions. So I'd like to just thank all of you guys in advance for your attendance as well as your cooperation. And with that, let me move on to item number 5A, which is a presentation tonight of our Gardena events. And Becky or Stephanie will be putting this on. Everybody can refer to the screen. Very good. Thank you. As you can see, we've been very busy since the last council meeting. Okay, so next we have, we need to add an item to the agenda tonight, item number 5B. I'm sorry, Madam City Attorney, do we need to take a quick vote whether or not to add this item on?
You're not adding the item, Madam Mayor. You're just simply having the presentation be made.
Okay, so we have a quick presentation of the Wayfinder signs just for the purposes of showing the council. We really can't have any discussion on this tonight, but it's going to be presented by our city manager, by Alan and Kevin Kwok, just for us to get a visual of what it's going to look like. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, sir, members of the City Council, yes, as you mentioned, tonight is just a quick preview of what these entrance and wayfinding signs could possibly look like. We want to give the City Council and the members of the public that are present tonight the opportunity to see them up close, because the next time you'll be seeing them will be installed in our major streets. I've asked Director of Public Works Alan Rigg and Principal Engineer Kevin Kwok to unveil, so to speak, our signs and show them to you. Right? We're not asking for any comments or anything tonight, just simply view them, and then we'll solicit that at a later time.
Okay, and just in case anybody just feels enthused to ask a question, we ask that all the council members, if you could wait until after the meeting and then speak with the directors then, because it will come up later on as an agenda item, and we can at a later time discuss it at the proper time.
All right, so first, city entrance signs. So this is the design you approved before. As the city manager mentioned, this will be mounted. This one will be on RBB, just east of Van Ness. So we can take a look at it, see what it looks like in real life. This is one of our city wayfinding signs. This one will be mounted on northbound Western, just south of 162. And so, this is the sample. And we'll take your input, and then eventually we'll talk about these again before we do a full rollout.
So again, the purpose tonight is to see them up close. The next time you'll see them will be mounted on our city streets. So you'll be able to view them from a car's vantage point as opposed to up close. We don't want you going up there in the median, because it's dangerous out there. So as you can see, it has some kind of reflector.
Okay.
So that, at night when the light shines on it, you'll be able to see it clearly.
Okay. All right, and as I mentioned, if anybody has any questions or comments, please see the director and or city manager after the meeting or at a later time to discuss it until we can bring it back as an agenda item. Because we're doing things so legally here, we're just doing it by the book, so.
Thank you again, Alan and Kevin.
Thank you.
For presenting that tonight.
And if anybody in the community has any comments too, please feel free to mention it to our director as well. So, okay, thank you for presenting that to us so that we could see it. Looks like we don't have any proclamations, no appointments tonight, and we're going to move on to the consent calendar tonight. Does any member of the, I'm sorry, before I go to that, Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on the consent calendar?
No, Madam Mayor, we do not.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody on the council wish to discuss any items separately?
I do, Madam Mayor.
Okay, which items?
And it would be item 8B,
Mm-hmm.
item 8E,
Okay,
8G,
okay,
and 8H. Okay, so make sure I got them now. Because
okay. So item number 8B,
Uh-huh.
item number 8E, 8G, and 8H.
8B, 8D.
8D,
Uh-huh.
D as in David?
Oh, no, E. You're correct. E, and G and H.
Okay. Item number 8B, 8E, 8G, and 8H. Correct?
Yeah.
Anybody else have any items they'd like to discuss separately? Okay, if not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar with the exceptions of item number 8B, 8E, 8G, and 8H?
So moved.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by Councilmember Love. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
excuse me, Francis.
Yes.
Councilmember Love.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka. Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Thank you. And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, so let's begin with item number 8B. Your question?
All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. My concern with the minutes, there are several,
Okay.
and the first one is that under the discussion about the fireworks, I was referring to the fireworks in our neighborhoods.
Which section, so we can see it?
Um,
What page are you on, or what section?
I didn't pull the section.
Okay,
That's
go
the
ahead.
Minutes,
No, it's on the minutes, but go ahead.
but it's under. We're talking about the fireworks,
Okay. Go ahead.
and then under directives. This is under directives now. I raised the concerns about the number of tobacco stores and asked for a moratorium, but Mayor Serta suggested maybe we should determine the number of stores first, and then we could see what the next step should be. And she said she would second that, and I said yes. And then regarding the MLK parade, I mentioned that the reason it was being held during Black History Month was due to it being postponed due to weather from January 14th to February 25th, but it wasn't really a part of the Black History Month program. It's just the parade was moved there because of the weather. And then I also mentioned that we are the first city west of the Mississippi to honor Dr. King with an official celebration, and not besides the Mississippi. And it was Rosemary Zacconi, not Rosemary Johnson, that helped Mr. Arthur Johnson get the celebration approved by the City Council. And it wasn't really a program, it was a celebration. And then the last one was regarding the 168 graffiti and 168 illegal dumping that was reported by Officer Banzan. Am I saying the name correctly?
Bazan.
Bazan, yeah, to the Beautification Commission, and it was Public Works that cleared the graffiti and illegal dumping. So those are my concerns about the minutes.
Okay, let's go back to the first one you had about the fireworks. What was not correct on it?
Okay, she said, well, in the minutes, I don't know who did it, but it referenced neighboring cities, but I wasn't mentioning neighboring cities. I was mentioning the neighborhood, the fireworks within our neighborhood, within
Okay.
the city of Gardena.
Okay, the wording on there.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay, not neighboring cities. It's a big difference.
okay.
To me, anyway, is what I was trying to,
Okay, so the correction with the wording with that, and then the next one was?
about directives. I raised concern about the number of tobacco stores and asked for a moratorium.
Mm-hmm.
And then you suggested that maybe we should determine the number of stores first.
Okay.
And then I said, well, would you second that? And you said yes, and so that's what happened. That was about the tobacco stores.
Okay. Keep going, I'm sorry.
Okay, and then regarding the MLK parade, I mentioned that the reason that it was being held during Black History Month was due to it being postponed due to the weather from January 2014 to February 25th, but it's not really part of the Black History Month program. That, you know, we have our MLK celebration in January.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
you see that one?
I see what you're saying.
All right. And I also mentioned that we are the first city west of the Mississippi to honor Dr. King with an official celebration, not besides Mississippi. And is that it was Rosemary Zacconi, not Rosemary Johnson, that helped Mr. Arthur Johnson get the celebration approved by the City Council. And it really wasn't like a program. And then when I talked about the 168 graffiti and 168 illegal dumping that was removed, reported by Officer Bazan to the Beautification Commission, and I mentioned it was Public Works that cleared everything up.
Okay. Okay, does anybody else have any concerns about the minutes on here as well? No? Okay, with that being said, if we'd like to make corrections to these items here, I would need to take a vote for us to make the changes, and it would have to go back to the clerk's office and then be approved at the next meeting. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, Madam Mayor. the motion would be a motion to refer the minutes, refer staff to amend the minutes with the corrections made by, stated by Mayor Pro Temp, and then to bring the amended minutes back for approval at the March 28th meeting. That would be the motion that needs to be made.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to make that motion? What she said?
I move, what she said.
To make that motion. Okay.
I move that we send the minutes back to City Clerk's office,
Refer staff
refer staff to
to amend,
to
the,
amend the minutes,
for the corrections that you have made,
corrections I've made,
and then to bring the amended minutes back for approval
and then bring the amended minutes back for approval
the March 28th
at the
meeting.
March 28th meeting. This is my first time doing this, so forgive me.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I second that. Madam City Clerk, can you take a motion? Mayor Pro Tem made the motion, I'll second it.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yes.
Mayor Serta,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
and Councilmember Love.
Yes.
Okay, so just for clarification, this will come back to us at the next meeting, and because it'll be changed by that time, it'll be official. Okay, so item number 8E, what was the question regarding this one?
One of our constituents questioned the regularity of the reporting of, I guess, the reporting of the investment reports. The question was, why isn't the investment reports provided on a monthly basis? Because we have January here, and I guess this is March now, and so I guess concerns was the question was asked, shouldn't they be reported monthly, on a monthly basis, as opposed to here and there? So if you could, City
Sure.
Manager.
Mayor Pro Tem, so the question is, why isn't it provided and reported on a monthly basis?
Yes.
Okay, so the answer to that is yes, it is provided on a monthly basis. I think the question is that why isn't it current, as far as why isn't it March, for instance, right? So the investment report that you have in front of you tonight is for the month of January. So with all the investments, if you review all the investments, we have a number of different securities here, ranges from agencies to corporate, et cetera, et cetera. Those take time for us to be able to close out the month. So, for instance, if it's January, you close out January and you do the reconciliation, realize gains and losses, et cetera, for the month of February. Then you'd have to, generate the report, which we have here tonight, and then, we bring it in the very first possible council meeting, which is the first meeting in March. So we do need time, and our advisors need time to prepare the report, close out the month. So all of these transactions happen in January, for instance, January 1st to the 31st. We need February to close out the month, produce the report, and then schedule it to the next available council meeting. So the next available one was the first meeting in March. So we are on time, and it is presented on a monthly basis.
Thank you for the explanation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions on this here? If not, can I get a motion to approve item number 8E?
So move.
Is there a second?
Motion.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by Councilmember Love. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yes.
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, your question regarding item number 8G?
Yes, regarding item number 8G, it talks about pedestrian safety improvements for our sidewalks. And did I read correctly? I thought it saw like 1,000 something square feet or 5,000 square feet of sidewalks that were straightened up, or I don't know. Could you? Oh, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. Yeah, this is an exciting program. This is the first time the city has gone out and proactively removed trip hazards. We did in one of six areas of the city. We did remove 1,143 trip hazards. Each of those could have been a liability to the city, and it's for the health and safety of our residents. So, a very successful program. We anticipate we'll want to roll that out to the other 5 areas of the city so that we can know that we have an entire city that's free of trip hazards.
Thank you very much. And just one more question, Director Riggs. So if I, being in a neighborhood, a resident in a neighborhood, and if I notice a trip hazard or uneven sidewalk on my street, how do I report that? I'm sure your department's already aware of it, but if I wanted to make sure, who would I call?
Sure, you don't even need to call. You can use your Gardena Direct app, take a picture of it, send a location. Our crews will be out within 24 hours to mark it with paint, and then eventually remedy it in one of the many methods we have.
1,000 square feet of sidewalk is straightened out. That's amazing.
Actually, 1,100 locations, which would have been close to 5,000 lineal feet of sidewalks and probably 20,000 square feet of sidewalks altogether.
Thank you. It's impressive.
Any other questions or comments on that? If not, can I get a motion to approve item number 8G?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
and Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up is item number 8H. What was the question in regards to this one?
So again, could you, it's an amazing amount of improvements there at 170 normally. It's 9,000 square feet that was repaved. Is that correct? Did I read correctly?
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. It was actually 84,000 square feet of asphalt that was redone. That street had an inordinate amount of non-compliant handicap ramps. We did 25 new ramps to make it safe for all the pedestrians. The exciting thing on that project is we installed our very first audible pedestrian signals. So when people come up and cross the crosswalks and they push the crosswalk button, not only do they get the light and the countdown timer, but they also get an audible, so they can hear how much time they still have left before the lights turn green. It also has a motion sensor, so you don't actually have to touch the button. You wave your hand in front of it, it'll activate it. So it is something we'll roll out on our additional projects throughout the city, and it's been quite successful.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions on this item here? If not, can I get a motion to approve item number 8H?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Love,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, so next we're going to move on to Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet. The March 7, 2023 meeting, item number 10A, is actually an item that's going to be continued on March 21st. So at this time, no action is needed from the City Council. Item number 10B, where is it? This item here, would anybody like to call for review on this item here? If not, we'll just go ahead and receive and file. Next, we're going to, actually, you know what? Before we go to oral communications, I'd like to make one quick change here because I think it might help answer some questions before we go to oral communications. I'd like to move our council directives tonight and our item number 20 and 21 to take those at this time here now, if that's okay with the council. I think it, again, I think it'll maybe address some of the concerns that some of the public have here tonight. So let's start with item number 20, which are council directives. Does anybody have any directives at this time? Let's start here, and then I'll go here. Councilmember Henderson?
I wanted to see if I can get a second to have some research done on establishing a Gardena Historical Society.
That's a good idea.
Second.
That
Okay.
was it.
Who wants to take the second?
I'll take it.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, it was made by Henderson and for Historical Society and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. That's it? Okay, you got a directive?
Yes. At last council meeting, we talked, well, at least I suggested that perhaps we would put in place a moratorium on tobacco stores until we can figure out how to regulate them, what we should do about it, and would that be all right now at this time, or should I wait?
So you'd like to have it as an agenda item?
Yes, a moratorium. How does, I'm not quite sure how that works.
This
but-
is correct, the time for that.
Okay, so it would become an agenda item, is that correct?
Is that what you would like to request? For it to
Yes.
become an agenda item for us to discuss it and take action?
Yes.
Okay, so that's your directive?
To bring back a moratorium and to be placed on the agenda item for council discussion and a
Yeah,
vote.
regarding tobacco
And-
stores.
Okay. And
Regarding
just,
tobacco stores, okay.
and just for clarification, since our code, I just want to make sure you're referring to the significant tobacco retailers.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second on that? I'll second it. Okay. So, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion by Mayor Pro Tem and seconded by myself. Got it? Any more directives at this time? No? Okay, so let's move on to item number 21,
Excuse
which
me,
is-
Madam Mayor.
Oh,
Would-
I'm sorry.
Would you like me to repeat those?
I'm sorry.
That's
Thank you
okay.
for reminding me of
Thank
that.
you. That's all right. First directive was requested by Councilmember Henderson and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Francis. Councilman Henderson would like to research establishing a Gardena Historical Society. Is that correct, Council Member?
That's absolutely correct.
Thank you. Second directive by Mayor Pro Tem Francis, seconded by Mayor Serta, is regarding tobacco stores. And Council Member Francis, or excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem Francis would like to bring back the moratorium for council discussion, agendize it, and put it on and discuss it. And this would be for significant tobacco retailers only. Is that correct? Is that correct? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's move to item number 21, which is city manager remarks regarding our previous directives and council items.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, I have have two memos to the City Council. The first one being a memo regarding a council directive made on the February 28, 2023 meeting. This is regarding regulating or prohibiting businesses that primarily sell tobacco products and related products. Second memo being a response to Councilmember Henderson's directive made on the January 10th, 2023 council meeting regarding innovative enforcement efforts to combat intersection takeovers. Madam Mayor, that ends my report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's go to oral communications now. That's next on our agenda. We have, looks like 6 speakers here tonight.
It's me, Madam Mayor. I have 2 more, so we have,
Two more?
I believe we have a total of 8.
Okay, 8 speakers. Okay, I'll go ahead and take that. We're going to begin tonight with Melissa Loza. Come to the front. And then afterwards, we'll have Natal Patel next. I want to remind all of our speakers that you are to limit your remarks to 3 minutes unless it's extended by myself. And when the yellow light comes on, it lets you know that your 2 minutes are up. And when the red light comes on, it will let you know that your time is up at that time. So we just ask that you adhere to our rules. So let's go ahead and hit that red button. You can go ahead and begin.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, hello and good evening. I'm here speaking about the council directive about the tobacco retailers. Let me introduce myself. My name is Melissa Loza. I am a community organizer with the Asian American Drug Abuse Program, also known as ADAP. I am also a secretary of an adult coalition called Gardena Drug and Alcohol Abuse Prevention Task Force. I am also a resident of Gardena and also a facilitator of the Gardena High School peer advocacy group called High School Task Force. I am concerned about the number of smoke shops that are in Gardena. Having a high number of smoke shops in the city can allow for easy access for youth and normalizes tobacco use in our community. As seen in a young adult purchase survey conducted by ADAP in 2019, 2 in 5 youth had access to tobacco products in the city of Gardena. As a youth leader and an older sister, it's important for me to see youth grow up in an environment where tobacco shops are not the norm. Limiting the number of tobacco shops in Gardena will help decrease the visibility of these shops and help protect the health of our youth. I request that the Gardena City Council address this problem by placing a moratorium on the number of tobacco businesses and consider strengthening the regulations on the sales of flavored tobacco products. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Natal Patel, and then afterwards we have Dr. Rachel Johnson. Can you hit that button right there? There you go. Thank you.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Natal Patel. I'm with Senator Stephen Bradford's office. I just wanted to make a quick announcement about our Tacos and Taxes Community Resource Fair event coming up on April 1st, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. First of all, I want to start by saying thank you to the City of Gardena for hosting our event at the Nakaoka Community Center. All residents that live in the Senate District qualify to get your taxes done for free if you make under $66,000. Appointments are required. Please call our office to schedule an appointment, and I'll leave some flyers behind. Also, no appointment is required for the Community Resource Fair. I want to invite all of you to come out, meet your constituents as well. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Dr. Rachel Johnson, and then we have Haley Hutt.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, city staff. First of all, well, I'm Dr. Rachel Johnson, and I'm here representing the Gardena Holly Park Community Association, our homeowners association. And before, I want to preface my comments by saying thank you to Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor Pro Tem Francis and Mayor Serta for requesting the research and a staff report on a moratorium for tobacco shops that are coming into our community. I'm here on behalf of our organization to express our concerns regarding the number of tobacco stores or smoke shops in our area and in the city as a whole. In North Gardena, a tobacco store has recently opened 2 doors away from a youth outpatient treatment center, down the street from Maria Regina Church and Elementary School, as well as Raleigh Park. This smoke shop is the, I want to say, the 4th in the immediate neighborhood, even though I think the one that is on south side of Rosecrans and Van Ness, I believe it's closed now. But if it were open and working, there would be 4 just in our small little neighborhood there. And in total, the 10th tobacco retailer, if you're counting all the liquor stores and mini markets and things like that in the area. So that's quite a few just in our own little corner of the world. Now, the Homeowners Association urges the city to take action to stem the tide of these smoke shops opening in our area. We are concerned about the health and safety of our youth, along with the over-proliferation of these businesses in our community. Again, we urge you to establish a moratorium on new smoke shops. As you explore the establishment also of buffer zones and density caps within our community on these types of new businesses. So again, we thank you for making the suggestion to research the idea of a moratorium, and thank you for your time and your efforts with this. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Haley Hutt, and then after that, we have Andrea Simonal. Simontal, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Pro Tem. Good evening, Gardena community, as well as the council. My name is Haley Hutt. I'm here representing Assemblywoman Tina McKenna's office. I'm here today to introduce myself as the new field rep for this area and just make myself known in the community. I will be here. You will see my face often, and I look forward to working with you all in this area. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. Okay, Andrea Simontal, and then we have Tracy Sarawatari.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Andrea Simontal, and I am the manager at Masao W. Sato Library, and I'm here to make announcements about our upcoming programs and services. For children, this Thursday, March 16th at 4 p.m., we have a comic book drawing program for ages 5 to 12. Instructor Carlos Nieto will teach comic basics. All supplies will be provided. Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m. we have Smarty Pants Story Time. So that's for ages 2 to 5 with parents and caregivers, and it's a school readiness story time. For teens, on Thursday, March 23rd, we have a clay forming program, and this is to celebrate Teens Create Month. So teens can make a clay masterpiece, and this is for ages 13 to 17. For adults, Wednesday, March 22nd, we have our first meeting of our Needle Arts Club. That is for adults age 18 and up. All levels are welcome, beginners and experts. And April 5th, we have a gardening program with the Plant Plug. Learn about growing local fresh fruits and vegetables, and repotting and soil quality. Then you'll get to take home a beginner garden. Additionally, we have free Wi-Fi throughout our building and in our parking lot. We also have available for checkout books, DVDs, magazines, CDs, and audiobooks. For the books and CDs, those can be checked out for 7 days. 21 days. And for DVDs and magazines, those are 7 days. Renewals are 3 times, and we are fine-free, so there are no fines for our materials if you do turn them in a little late. Thank you.
I'm sorry? Yeah. Okay, next we have Tracy Sarwatari, and then we have Princess Alexa Evangelista Griffin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm speaking on the directive from the February 28th Council meeting regarding the tobacco shops in Gardena. My name is Tracy Sarwatari, and I'm a community organizer in the city of Gardena working for ADAP, Asian American Drug Abuse Program. I'm also the chair of an adult coalition, Gardena Drug and Alcohol Abuse Prevention Task Force, GDAP, whose mission is to prevent alcohol and drug-related problems in the Gardena community. I also work closely with the youth at Gardena High School and strive to educate them about the risks and harms of substance use. I am concerned about the number of smoke shops in the city. Many of these shops are close to schools and other youth-sensitive areas such as parks. I'm especially concerned with the one in particular that has opened up just 2 doors away from ADAP's youth outpatient treatment site. Having these shops in and around the community of Gardena piques the curiosity of the youth, and some may be tempted by the products on display. Having this type of business so close by can make it difficult for the youth seeking treatment. In a young adult purchase survey done in 2019, data shows that 43% of Gardena retailers were willing to sell tobacco to minors. It is important to consider the health and safety of our community, especially the youth, and limit these types of stores in Gardena. I request that the Gardena City Council act now to put a moratorium on the number of tobacco businesses and consider strengthening the regulations around the sale of flavored tobacco products. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Next is Princess Alexis Evangelista Griffin, and then we have Jessica Abaya.
Good evening, everyone, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Princess Alexis Evangelista Griffin. I am the owner of Medusa Tears, which is a tattoo studio as well as a creative center. I have been trying to get a license in the city of Gardena, and the building that I have acquired actually does not fall under, I guess, the planning parameters. I was told that due to my building being 10,000 square feet, that I would need 1 parking space per every 200 square feet. My business only occupies 2,200 square feet. I have the amount of parking needed for me to have a business. However, due to the fact that the back part, which is not leased to anybody, it's just an empty space, they want me to have parking for that, which I believe is kind of unfair and not necessarily something that would be concerning to that I would have to take care of as a business owner. We also have sorry I've been trying to find a solution for this because we've done a lot for the community even though we've been here, and we weren't aware of the business licensing that we needed to have. The people that I leased from said that, oh, it's okay, you could be under our license, which I should, on my part, I should have been more researching into that and my business has been shut down. While we were in Gardena, we had hosted many community events for children. I taught free dance classes, free art classes for the kids, and all of my staff, this black-owned, black staff business, I'm pretty much the first job that they've ever had, and since we've been shut down, they don't have employment anymore. So I'm just asking for some kind of solution, what can be done, because in the long run, with everything, with all the buildings that are actually on that street, which is 2094 West Rosecrans, if none of those buildings, if those buildings aren't able to be commercialized, you'll just have a bunch of industrial buildings and no one can actually have businesses there. It's not just me in the like as far as future businesses possibly, you know, to be more aesthetically pleasing to Gardena, as well as the furtherment of just, I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but I would really like your help in trying to figure out a solution, because yeah, there won't be any, with those parameters from planning, you can't commercialize that whole block. And it's not just me, it would be further future business owners as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Ms. Griffin, I actually had my secretary try to reach out to you earlier to get a telephone number so that we could meet and maybe sit down and figure this out. We have a telephone number for you now. I'll reach out to you tomorrow, and maybe we can get our staff together and figure something out.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. Next, we have Jessica Abaya, and then we have Victor Ibarra.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. This is a public comment on the Council directive in reference to smoke shops. My name is Jessica Abaya, and I am a community organizer for ADAP, and I take lead with the tobacco prevention programs. I am also a longtime resident of Gardena, and my family lives in the north part of Gardena. Near the borders of my house, they have opened up a new smoke shop on Van Ness and 139th Street. In a public opinion survey conducted by ADAP, 53% of respondents believe that it is easy for youth to buy tobacco. Having this store open up close to youth-sensitive places such as parks, churches, and schools can potentially put youth at risk to using tobacco products. Our role as community organizers is to educate and inform the community residents of Gardena about the health issues, health harms, and environmental impacts related to tobacco. I've been with ADAP for 5 years. I started off as an intern. Specifically, I focused my efforts and prevention efforts around strengthening the TRL that was adopted in the year 2008 in the city of Gardena. Strengthening the TRL that's in place would include restricting the sale of flavored tobacco products, including the retail environment, adding in buffer zones to limit proximity to schools and other youth areas, adding retailer density caps to limit proximity to other retailers who have opened up business, and to cap the number of retailers within our city of Gardena. Overall, this will reduce youth access to tobacco products and prioritize the health and safety of youth within our borders and boundaries. I urgently request the Gardena City Council to make an impactful change in regulating tobacco products today. I would also kindly want to read a high school task force member who provided a public comment in 2019. She is now a student at UC Riverside and is unable to make her public comment, but has given consent for me to read her public comment. My name is Valentina Martinez Garcia, and I am a member of GDAP and a former member of High School Task Force, the Youth Coalition of Gardena High School. I am concerned about more smoke shops opening up in Gardena. I've realized as time passes by, it's way easier for teenagers to get these type of products. The lack of regulations make it easier for anyone to access these products. Also, the type of marketing the vaping companies use to hook teenagers to believe that it's okay okay to use these products. For me, picturing teenagers in high school vaping
Go ahead and continue.
just to fit in, wanting to be accepted, and doing all of this will have a bad impact later on. This will eventually lead to struggles in school, along with other issues, in addition to the long-term health consequences of using vape products. One vape product is actually equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes. I strongly urge the city of Gardena, the Gardena City Council, to take action and regulate these products in our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Victor Ibarra.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. As mentioned, my name is Victor Ibarra. I am the Public Affairs Manager for SoCal Gas. The reason for me being here is to talk a bit about natural gas prices. I know it's obviously it's a hot commodity, and I do oversee 14 cities, so it's taken me some time to get here, but I do come with the bearing message. Bear with me, it's a bit lengthy. I'll try to finish within the 3 minutes. We want to share that the market prices of natural gas continue to drop, driving a more than 80% decrease in SoCal Gas March procurement rates from January's high bills. SoCal Gas estimates average residential March bills to be $100, which is lower from January's average of $300. These numbers will vary based on usage. SoCal Gas does not set the price of natural gas. Instead, natural gas prices are determined by national and regional markets. So I think there tends to be a misconception that SoCal Gas has oversees natural gas prices, and we don't. We actually don't make money off of natural gas, and we make money off of the transportation of natural gas. Recently, the California Public Utilities Commission approved the acceleration of California's climate credit of $50.77. So if you haven't already seen that credit, it's going to be either this month or earlier next month. SoCal Gas is also delaying collection activities on overdue residential accounts and will not disconnect overdue residential customers until further notice. We have paused all non-residential collection field activities effective February 1st. We continue to inform and over several ways to help income-qualified customers through our bill and home improvement assistance programs, bill forgiveness plans, and the level pay program. SoCal Gas recently announced a $10 million in-shareholder funding to provide additional relief to low-income families, seniors, and small restaurant owners. Of the $10 million we've given, $5 million will go to the Gas Assistance Fund, a program administered by United Way, a nonprofit of LA, to provide one-time grants to income-qualified customers to help pay their natural gas bills. $4 million will go to relaunching Fueling Our Communities, a collaborative program with local food banks and nonprofit organizations to provide food throughout our customer region. And then $1 million will go to Restaurant Care Resilience Fund to help small restaurants with improvements, upgrades, employee retention, and to manage debt losses and rising costs. As we're all aware that these natural gas prices have been extremely high, and we want to make sure that we're able to give back to our customers, which is 22 million customers from Wasilla to the Mexican border. So for more information, please visit www.socalgas.com/newsroom. And you can always reach out to me as well at 310-971-1517 or vibarra@socalgas.com. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Ibarra, thank you again for coming tonight. I requested that you come to the meeting just because everybody got these really high bills in January, and it kind of shocked and scared everybody at the same time. So I appreciate the fact that you're just kind of going over, some things here real quickly. I was told that there's an app where you can now kind of get an idea where your bill is at. So, for instance, like if I was on the app, I could say I've used $70 already, and it's maybe like so many more days until the end of the month, and it kind of helps you gauge that. Could you give us information on what the app is called so we can download it?
Don't know about an app. I believe I had sent the information over to whoever reached out from the city.
Okay.
It's online though. It
is online,
and
okay.
it kind of gives you a projection. Yeah.
Okay. So you can go on the website,
yes,
put your information in, and they can
I'll
do
repeat
that.
it one more time. It's socalgas.com, manage higher bills.
Manage higher bills. Okay. Well, thank you again for coming out, and in case we get those increases like that, please, I don't know if you want to send an email and give us a heads up to tell our residents.
We'll definitely try to be more
out.
proactive. We had sent some stuff out in the beginning of the year.
Okay.
But I might have failed to add some of your staff, the city managers and public works directors. So I'll make sure to review my email list and make sure to be more proactive as well.
Okay, well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
All right, thank you. You too. Okay, with that, let's.
Madam Mayor, excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd just like to let you know that we have received 7 email communications, public comment communications. So we received these after the cutoff period of 24 hours before the council meeting. So the council has already has received these emails. We put them on your desks tonight. And also there is a binder when you walk into the council chamber, and we have put copies of those emails in the binder for public review. And this has all been entered into the, or made part of the public record.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to departmental items. We're at item number 14A. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 14A is renewal of general services agreement with the LA County of Los Angeles for a 5-year period from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2028. City of Gardena's general services agreement with the County of LA expires on June 30th, 2023 to ensure continuation of the services that the City of Gardena currently receives. County of LA would like to work with the City of Gardena to renew the existing agreement for a 5-year period. The GSA is general in nature and simply authorizes the County of LA to provide services requested by the City of Gardena. City of Gardena can request services on an as-needed basis. The services included are, for example, predatory animal control, prosecution of city ordinances, direct assessment collection, and a variety of other public works activities. The GSA specifies the method by which services are requested and paid for, and provides the annual adjustment of rates as well. The agreement itself has no financial impact since services are requested and charged on an as-needed, time-limited basis. Staff recommends that the City Council renew the current GSA with the County of LA for additional 5-year term from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2028. There is no financial impact. What's required tonight is to approve the agreement.
Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item here?
No, Madam Mayor, we do not.
Does any member of the council wish to speak on this item? Let's start with Henderson. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, in regards to the agreement, and so we can manage our expectations appropriately, what's the SLA we have with them once we make service level agreement, once we make a call to the county?
Every because it's handled by different departments of LA County, so every call, every service that they provide to us is obviously different. But we do have our expectation that SLAs are met in a timely and a reasonable manner by the LA County. So far, we don't have any issues or concerns regarding these services that they provide.
So not coyotes, but let's say if we got a raccoon, possum, something in the street, possum especially, and there's dead, and we call either through Gardena Direct or Public Works or whatever, then they call the county and they'll send somebody. So within 48 hours.
So for those, sir, the let's say dead raccoons, they are handled by our own staff. But if we can't handle them, then if it's more dangerous in nature, predatory in nature, or such, then we call a county. But for dead animals, we do that our own.
Okay, thank you.
Was there a second question, comment? You do?
A quick question about
Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead.
The service level agreements. Is it a common practice not to have it, or should something happen? Because you hear stories from time to time about saying, "Oh, that's not us. It's a city call. No, it's the county." County says, "No, that's not our job. It's a city staff." So, what happens when things go wrong? I mean, everything's fine when things go right, but what do we do, or what is our response when things go wrong? Is it common practice not to have any service level agreements, or any type of evaluation? Because 5 years is a long time.
So this agreement is a general agreement. There's also specific categories that are separate agreements that we enter into with the county. This one is in situations where, I think the example that was given, where if there is a dead animal on the street, if we will, the city will pick up that animal, but if for some reason our staff is not available, then we can call the county because of this general agreement that we have. They're not exclusively doing the service for us. It's basically the backup when the city is not able to, but the city does have in place our staff to do this assignment. There are separate agreements that are not before you tonight with other duties. For example, the fact that we contract with the county for the public health department, for example. That is a specific agreement with the county. This is more for things that the city does, and when the city's not able to, then we turn to the county.
There is somebody we can call to make sure that we're being taken care of. I guess that's my question. I just want to, you hear stories, and I just want to make sure that we're covered. I mean, we have no other options. However, even within those other options, what can we do to get the best of what we have to deal with, what we're agreeing to?
With all of our relationships with the county, staff does have contact telephone numbers of specific departments at the county. If, for example, we're calling them to come out and they're not coming out, there is someone, everyone has to answer to, a supervisor that we can be in touch with. We've always had, for the most part, a very good working relationship with the county and have been able to get, feedback from them and follow through.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve the agreement?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Love and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Love?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis?
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes. Okay, next up is item number 15A. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 15A is authorization of ammunition purchases from Dooley Enterprises, Inc., not to exceed $60,000 for fiscal year 22-23. The Gardena Police Department utilizes ammunition in both training and critical incidents. GPD has had an increase in amount of ammunition used this year due to the hiring of police officers and replacement of SWAT operators. All sworn GPD members train monthly on the use of firearms, and with the increase in sworn officers, it has increased our use of ammunition. For example, each academy recruit will shoot roughly between 2,500 and 4,000 rounds of ammunition to pass the firearms portion of the training. Although on the high end, the police academy suggested that it could go up to 5,000 rounds per recruit. GPD cannot concretely state the amount of ammunition needed each year and therefore uses historical trends and hiring projections to estimate ammunition needs each year. GPD's previous year's budget of $30,000 has been sufficient, but training needs for new officers and SWAT operators this year resulted in GPD exceeding previous year's use. Therefore, GPD needs to ratify its budget relative to ammunition. Purchasing will continue to be based on use and subject to ammunition pricing at the time of purchase. GPD purchases ammunition from Dooley Enterprises, Inc. for the following ammunition. For small arms or handgun, we purchase the following: 9mm 115 grain FMJ or full metal jacket, 45 auto 230 grain FMJ, 9mm 147 grain Ranger T-Series JHP or jacketed hollow point, 45 auto 230 grain Ranger T-Series JHP. For our rifle rounds, we purchase 5.56 55 grain FMJ or full metal jacket, 223 55 grain Ranger pointed soft point, and the Winchester S308M or a 308 caliber. And then lastly, for our shotguns, we purchased 12 gauge 9 pellet 00 buck low recoil, and lastly 12 gauge 1 ounce lug low recoil. Dooley Enterprises, Inc. is the authorized sole source law enforcement distributor for Winchester ammunition in the state of California. GPD utilizes Winchester ammunition due to its reliable availability and because it is consistent from batch to batch, making it the most effective for training. It also has threat-stopping performance, making it trusted amongst law enforcement agencies across America. Winchester ammunition is the only department-approved ammunition per GPD policy 306.3.7. For fiscal year 22-23, general fund budgeted expenditure not to exceed $30,000. Again, we typically spend and budget $30,000. We're asking to increase it to $60,000, so it's additional $30,000 for the remainder of the fiscal year. What is required tonight is to authorize the ammunition purchases for the extra $30,000. So total of $60,000.
Okay, thank you. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, Madam Mayor.
Does any member of the council have any questions or comments on this item here?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
I recall, if memory serves me right, and sometimes it does, when I first came on council, maybe about a couple of years ago, we were at the same, we were buying ammunition then, or was it about 2 years ago, or how often do
We buy ammunition every year.
every year?
Correct.
Okay. And for that $60,000, you say, how many bullets is that? Like I told us, I mean, it's like 10 cents a bullet. I just happened to, when I was going through it, I saw a video on how these bullets are manufactured. It's very interesting, by the way, if anybody wants to take some time. But so what does that look like? And then I'm going to ask all my questions at the same time, maybe. And then did I hear a hollow point? Is that a
That's correct. That's one of the ammos that we use.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. So a 45 round is somewhere between 45 cents to 75 cents a round.
Mhm.
So that's the answer. And yes, we do use a hollow point.
Is there, is that common among other departments, a hollow point? Because the only reason I ask is because you hear, I've heard about that, and I think, it's been a concern. I don't know if that's a good way of putting it, but a hollow point, doesn't that do a lot of damage? Isn't that the one that?
There is stopping power to
Yeah.
a hollow point round, but yes, it is an industry standard that all departments use.
Okay. And so, but the majority of, because I was trying to figure out who's using all these bullets, and I guess so it's just practice rounds. You're just, with the handguns and the rifles, it's just practice. You say 2,500 rounds in a year. Is that a year? 2,500 rounds, is that how many bullets are each officer using a year, or?
Yeah, so this is a fantastic challenge to have because we're very fortunate in having the hirings that have occurred. Right now I have 6 cadets in the academy. Each cadet will use somewhere between 3,500 and 5,000 rounds, depending on their proficiency. So if they get it down to about 4,000, but if they need some remediation in order to pass post standards, then they have to give them extra rounds to do that.
So it's like in a month or 6 months, or?
So
how
it's
long
a
did it take to
6-month
qualify?
academy.
6 months? 6 months
Yes.
in order to qualify, and
Yes.
they'll use about 2,500 rounds, and it's within that 6-month time. Is that
Somewhere
right?
between 3,500 and 5,000, depending on their proficiency.
And that's with handguns and rifles.
So
Or-
rifles we handle in-house. When they get out of the academy, they come train with us. But while they're in the academy, it's the 45 round as well as shotgun rounds.
Okay, so we're providing ammunition for the academy,
So
not just for us. I'm
so
just
this
trying to
year,
understand.
yeah, we have 6. So right now I have 6 cadets in the academy. So each one of those has between 3,500 and 5,000 rounds, in addition to shotgun rounds. Now, in addition to those new employees that have to be trained, we also have some new SWAT operators. We have 4 of them, which requires another round amount of ammunition to get them through SWAT school to get them proficient as well.
All right, thank you. That's
A lot of new employees, but again, it's a great challenge to have because we have the personnel here to provide the service in the city.
and so in this 60,000 will take care of all that. Or
60,000, yes. So it is 30,000 more than what we normally spend, but it's because of the increase of the new employees.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Any other questions or comments? If not, oh, you got another one? Okay. If not, can I get a motion to authorize the ammunition purchase?
So moved.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Love and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Love?
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes. Next up is item number 16A. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 16A is to authorize Director of Public Works to enter into an exchange agreement and assignment of Federal Surface Transportation Program, Local and Highway Infrastructure Program funds with LA County Metro in a form approved by the City Attorney. The budget for the Federal Surface Transportation Program local is $846,583, and the Highway Infrastructure Program is $284,534, totaling an amount of $1,131,117. And the city desires to exchange these federal funds to LA County Metro at a 2% processing and administrative fee. These federal funds are currently programmed for the fiscal year 22-23 for the Vermont Avenue Street Improvement Program project between Artesia Boulevard and Gardena Boulevard, job number 959. Exchanging the funds to local transportation funds Prop C is anticipated to save as much as 30% in project design and 10% in construction. Utilizing the exchanged local transportation funds will eliminate additional project review process by Caltrans and Federal Highway Administration and their rigorous requirements. Additionally, the exchange fund usage is much more flexible, and the city will receive it up front. The financial impact is the CIP budget CIP program budget. We will reclassify these funds originally budgeted in amount of $1,131,117 under steeple and HIP funds to $1,108,495 in Prop C funds. The difference is a 2% processing fee in the amount of $22,622 charged by Metro. What is required tonight is to authorize a funding exchange.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item here?
We have received an email on this on item 16A. It has been distributed to the council this evening, and also a copy is in the binder on the table in the chamber, and it will be part of the public record.
Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments on this item here? Let's start with Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, you think we could just like send them some See's candy and we can keep that 2% or some Raising Canes or something? That's like loan shark rates right there.
We can try, sir, but I don't think it's going to work.
No? All right.
The 2% is actually very fair
It's
to what we get, and as far as the expediency that we use the funds and the less restriction, and we
right.
get it up front.
Oh, we get up front. Okay.
Get it up front.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. If not, can I get a motion to authorize the funding exchange?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Francis. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Love.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 16B. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 16B is award construction contract for the Gardena Community Aquatic and Senior Center project. Underground utility phase job number 978 to Doty Brothers Equipment Company in the amount of $157,038. Approved the project plans and specifications and budget contingency. This is basically removing the overhead power lines that traverse on top of the aquatic center or the former pool to underground, so that we don't have power lines going across a pool. The Gardena Community Aquatic and Senior Center project underground utility phase is located at 16004 and 16010 Harvard Boulevard. Currently, overhead utility lines run north and south across the lots, parallel to the rear property line. Southern California Edison, AT&T, and Charter Communications was directed by the city to prepare plans and to remove the existing overhead utility poles that has a conflict with the city's proposed project. This underground utility construction is the second phase of the project after demolition phase. On December 13th, 2022, Council authorized the contract with SCE to proceed with the project. This phase is to replace the overhead existing SCE, AT&T, and Charter Communication utilities with new underground lines. In January 2023, the project plans and specifications have been finalized and published in a bid request in CR Planwell, Gardena Valley News, and the city website. The following two bids were received on February 23rd, 2023. Doty Brothers Equipment Company out of Norwalk, California for $157,035. And the second is MMJ Contracting, Inc. from Hacienda Heights, California, and that's for $289,100. Doty Brothers Equipment Company was the lowest responsible bidder. They are licensed in the state of California, and their project references have been verified and satisfactory. They will be required to meet all bonding and financial standards. The project is anticipated to start construction in late March 2023 and to be completed in early June 2023. The financial impact is the underground utilities phase construction contract award of $157,35 and $31,407, which is a 20% contingency. These expenditures will be charged to the Prop 68 grant. The 22-23 project budget of $5,020,000 general fund, $8,500,000 Prop 68, and $1.4 million federal earmark, with a total budget of $14,920,000. What is required tonight is award construction contract, approve the project plans and specifications, and to approve the budget contingency.
Okay, thank you. Madam City Clerk, do we have any-
Madam Mayor, excuse
Oh,
me,
sorry.
before
Oh, that's right.
Councilman Tanaka, do you want to state it into the record, please?
Madam Mayor, I'll have to recluse myself because of the proximity of my residence to this pool.
Got it, thank you. Okay. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, we do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments on this item?
I do, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Mayor
This is
Pro
another
Tem,
one of
go
those,
ahead.
projects I recall when I was coming on to City Council, and we're moving forward. So once the undergrounding of the utility is completed, can we get on with it, or what's next? Because it seems to be taking a really, maybe it's just for me, but it seems to be taking an awful long time. Or is that
total? 48 months total.
You said 48 months total?
Mhm.
Is that like 2 years?
Isn't it 48 months?
4 years?
24 months. 24 months?
4 years is taken?
24
So
months.
Director Rigg is here to give us an update on what's next after the undergrounding. Obviously, I think that the process that took longest, obviously, would be the design phase. All those things that came. You got to plan this correctly, hiring the consultants and contractors that we need, and then obviously you strategically doing the what's needed, which obviously the undergrounding of the utilities is a must because of the size of the pool and a lot of people are going to be there. Director Rigg,
Yes, I remember
Alan,
all
would
that. I
you-
saw the pictures.
Yeah, would you give us kind of like an overview of what's next after this?
Absolutely. Good evening again. So this project has three main phases. One is the demolition of the existing pool facility and the two fourplexes. The second is the undergrounding of the utilities, and the third is the construction of the new facility. We went early on the demo of the buildings. There were a nuisance. There were people living in them. So we got ahead of that, and so we knew that it would appear to the public and to you as well that there was a delay between the demolition of the buildings and the next phase of construction. It was a nuisance. We wanted to get them done in case there was anything unforeseen in the buildings or hazardous substances. We wanted to get that done. It's been a parallel track for all three of those items. As soon as we obtained the properties and you authorized the design of the facility, we started on the demo. At the same time, we've been working very hard on getting the utilities undergrounded. And that's probably, I'm so thankful we're to this point right now because involving the 3 different utility companies and undergrounding their wires can be an absolute nightmare. Kevin's done a wonderful job. We've had a consultant to help us from Edison. So these have all been going in parallel. So demo, undergrounding, and we've received the 90% construction plans for the pool and senior facility. Those are being reviewed by multiple agencies, county health, our building department, and so it's all going at the same time with the eventual construction hopefully happening later this summer is when we expect to actually have the building. We're also parallel tracking. We're out to bid right now for a pre-qualification for the bidders to actually build it. So there's a lot of it's a lot of strategy and a lot of coordination to make sure that we don't get one item ahead of the other, and to make sure they're all going at the same time parallel. So everything is going absolutely wonderful. It's all per plan. It's schedule. We never really had a schedule, but our estimates were to begin construction during the summer. It'll probably be late this summer. County health has been a bit slow. We're getting some help from some of our other staff and connections with that, but things are progressing as planned.
Our seniors looking forward to it. You know, when you're talking about the senior population, time is of the essence. If you know.
Yes, understood.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Anybody? No? Okay, that being said, can I get a motion to award the construction contract, approve the project plans and specifications, as well as approve the budget contingency?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Francis and a second by Councilmember Love. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
Yes.
Councilmember Love.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay. Can we bring back in Councilmember Tanaka? Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was like 24 total, something like that. By the time they did it takes a while. It takes a while. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be one of the biggest pools in South Bay, though. It's going to be big, really big. Okay, Mr. City Manager, item number 17A.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 17A. This is the approval of the City of Gardena Homeless Strategic Plan from March 2023 to December 31st, 2025. In December 2021, the City of Gardena was awarded $110,000 from the Innovation Grant funded through Measure H and the South Bay Cities Council of Governments. Funding was to be used to develop a homeless strategic plan and to hire a homeless coordinator. Our team released an RFP in February of 2022. In March of 2022, Gardena hired Focus Strategies to assist in the development of the homeless strategic plan, and the city also hired our homeless coordinator in July of 2022 to assist with the creation of the plan. The city's homelessness strategic plan is a planning document that proposes implementation in phases over a 3-year period. And the plan was developed through extensive participation and outreach to our community, and the process included information gathering, strategy development, and refinement of the plan for adoption. The city met with internal staff, external stakeholders, people with lived experiences, and the community to gather relevant data. Throughout the months of July and August 2022, input sessions were held with 50 stakeholders, including elected officials, city staff, homelessness response service provider agencies, regional partners, and people experiencing homelessness. A community input session in September 2022 gathered input from the community members on their priorities and the best strategies to use in the creation of the homeless plan. On September 29th, 2022, a homeless strategic plan study session was conducted to review and discuss policy program options to be outlined in the plan. In addition, monthly meetings were scheduled from June to December 2022 to gain input from city staff and incorporate their concerns and suggestions. Key components of the plan included, number 1, expand city participation in local and regional homelessness system planning bodies. Number 2, increase coordination between city, local nonprofits, and regional homeless service and housing providers. Number 3, increase education about homelessness in Gardena. And 4th, adopt and strengthen policies. Additionally, the city has maintained an information page on its website for several months to provide the community with an opportunity to review and provide feedback regarding the plan. The community was encouraged to review the plan via their social media platforms, and on February 28, 2023, a presentation of the draft plan was presented to the City Council. The Homeless Strategic Plan is a policy document. Staff will return to the City Council for review and approval of action items as required. What is required tonight is to approve the City of Gardena Homeless Strategic Plan.
Okay. You said to review. Is somebody going to present it again, or? Oh, there was no presentation of it. Just in case we had any questions on the review of it, or?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. We don't have a presentation. We just attached the one that we
Oh, I gotcha.
did on the 28th.
Okay. Well, don't go far, because I'm sure there are questions. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on this, sir?
No, we do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions? Was that your finger? Go. Oh. Okay, let's start with you.
So as a member of the COG and all the things that we're doing, and our staff is a part of the COG and our homeless task force, everything that you guys did in this plan, I appreciate the work and the effort that you put into this, because this is a good plan. So thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments?
Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
So this plan is not set in concrete. It will grow as our needs. I mean, this just kind of, it sort of lays the foundation, but it's not. For example, I saw in the paper today that LAS is moving toward. Well, I got an email saying LAS is moving toward getting people experience homelessness document ready, as opposed to before they put them in housing. It's just a email I got today. So as things change, homeless issues, they don't stay the same always. They change. So will the plan grow? I guess my question is, will the plan grow as our need or resources grow or need to grow?
So the plan itself can be updated or adjusted as needed, but this is a starting point for us to basically get the ball rolling and apply for additional funding. As we get additional funding, there's going to be different requirements for the money that's received, but this really sets us up to be ready for that funding.
At least like I said, we're getting the ball rolling. I'm so glad. It's a good plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of good work.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. That being said, can I get, excuse me, a motion to approve the City of Gardena's Homeless Strategic Plan?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Love and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Love?
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
And Mayor Serta?
Yes. Okay, next up is item number 19A. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 19A is a 12-month pilot commercial facade improvement program. At the February 28, 2023 City Council meeting, staff received a council directive to determine the feasibility of establishing a commercial facade improvement program to provide financial assistance to eligible businesses to improve the facades and landscaping of commercial properties. Several cities have implemented a commercial facade improvement program to assist their local businesses with needed upgrades. Staff is recommending that an initial 12-month pilot program be established in the city that would focus on commercial revitalization. Should the pilot program be approved, staff would first seek a qualified consultant to provide input and complete the program guidelines for council approval and implementation. With an initial budgeted amount of $250,000 of general funds, staff anticipates providing 5 to 8 facade improvement projects. Staff recommends that City Council approve the establishment of a pilot commercial facade improvement program for an initial 12-month period beginning July 1st, 2023. The financial impact is $10,000 for the rest of fiscal year 2022-2023 from the general fund, and $250,000 of fiscal year 2023-2024 general fund monies. What's required tonight is to approve establishing a 12-month pilot commercial facade improvement program.
Okay. Jackie?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and the members of the City Council. As the City Manager Osorio introduced, the item before you is the Commercial Facade Improvement Program. Many cities have implemented a commercial facade improvement program to assist their local businesses with needs upgrades by utilizing a variety of different funding, such as general fund, former redevelopment funds, community development block grant, also known as CDBG funds, and also other eligible grant assistance type funds. Tonight, staff is recommending the use of general funds for the 12-month pilot program. After the completion of the 12-month program, should the council determine the program be successful and would like to continue the program for the long term, staff will look into utilizing other types of funding sources other than general fund. So the goal of the program will be to improve visual quality of the building facades, enhance or restore buildings to create attraction for new businesses, stimulate private investment and upgrade the physical image of the commercial areas, improve shopping opportunities, and create pleasant walking experience for the community. So doing some research with other cities and how they've implemented their commercial facade improvement program, staff is recommending the two types of grants with varying amounts. First is the non-matching grant, which basically will provide up to $25,000 with no matching requirement. And second is a matching grant, which goes up to $40,000 max with a dollar for dollar match of the total grant. So for example, if a business would apply for a grant of $30,000, then they would also have to match with $30,000. And basically, as I've mentioned, the grant amount that the staff is recommending today is based on staff's research. If the item gets approved tonight, we will seek for a professional consulting services for them to basically help us determine if this is the market values as today's date. There's a lot of construction costs and interest rates that are dramatically increasing, so we want to make sure that these are a feasible amount where if we do run this program and if we do provide this amount to the businesses, we want to make sure we're basically delivering a decent project to the businesses. So if approved by the council tonight, the pilot program will require a budget amendment of $250,000 of the general fund for fiscal year 23-24, so which is the next fiscal year. Of this amount, approximately 20%, which is $15,000, will be used for the consulting services to finalize the guideline and also to implement the program. Staff anticipate, as a city manager previously mentioned, providing about up to 5 to 8 facade improvements during the 12-month the pilot program. And again, depending on the change of the amount with the assistance from the consulting services, the number of the projects may vary. An initial amount of $10,000 for the current fiscal year will also be needed in order for staff to work with the consultant to actually initiate the guideline and other necessary documents. I believe there was a little error on the staff report where we mentioned that it was to finalize. It's actually for us to initiate within this fiscal year so we can actually start the project for the starting of the next fiscal year, which will be the July 1st. And if we were to actually bring the consultant to finalize a guideline starting the next fiscal year, also for the same consultant to initiate the program, some of the procedures that they'll be helping us will be such as preparing the application process, the grant agreement, the bidding process, inspection work, and basically recording of any documentation that are needed for the city to ensure that these businesses do receive the grant and to continue to basically serve the community. So here are some of the list of the eligible uses that will be allowed through this facade improvement grant. The first is the exterior design signs, installation or replacement of outdoor landscaping, awning canopies and or sunshades, painting or exterior service treatments, installation and repair or replacement of decorative or security fencing, asphalt paving, replacement or repair of tiles or decorative pavers, sidewalks, or courtyard repaving within the property, not on the public right-of-way, repair or replacement of masonry walls or footing, outdoor lighting, replacement of plate glass windows, design, plan check, and permit fees associated with the above eligible improvements. And here are some uses that are actually not allowed under this grant program would be any vinyl letter signage on the windows, portable signs on the street, flags or banners, benches and trash receptacles, tables, chairs, or umbrellas, such furnishing, temporary portable or non-permanent improvements, interior improving or remodeling, parking lot resurfacing, and any improvement not visible from the public right-of-way or publicly owned space. So the map in front of you is a zoning map to highlight some of the designated commercial and retail corridors within the city. Typically, when a city adopts a facade improvement program, it is usual for a city to designate some kind of a target area. So at this time, staff will need a direction from the council to determine where we would designate as a target area for this facade improvement plan.
Do you want that right now, or you want to continue talking?
It's okay. Go ahead. This is just a quick summary and a recap of the timeline. If the item is approved tonight, staff will seek for a consultant to basically initiate the guideline and the procedures. And once the staff determines that the guideline and the procedures are finalized, then we will come back to the city council for the approvals of the guideline and the procedures. And that's basically at that time the program will be initiated, where staff will start the pilot program starting July 1st, which is the beginning of the fiscal year. After the 12th month, staff will report back to the council on the program with the accomplishments and the recommendation of whether the program will be continued or not.
Okay.
And the recommendation is staff respectfully recommends that the council approve the establishment of the pilot commercial facade improvement program for initial 12-month period and authorize $10,000 of general fund for fiscal year 22-23 and $250,000 of general funds for fiscal year 23-24, and direct staff to bring back the guideline and procedures for council approval prior to implementing the program. That concludes the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Let me begin with the city clerk. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have received an email. I just wanted to let you know we received an email, and you all received a copy of it this evening on item 19A. And also a copy was put into the binder in the chambers, and this has been made part of the public record.
Okay. It was received after 5?
Yes,
Okay.
after the 24-hour before the meeting period.
Got it. Okay, I'll look for it in a second. Let me just start with this here first. I'm glad that this was able to come before us here, because I think this is a great opportunity for us to help our business owners start making some improvements here as we, drive through the city. I was hoping that we could go with the target area of Rosecrans, maybe more specifically the corridor on Rosecrans between Crenshaw to Van Ness, and or maybe even extend as far as to Western, because I think that's an area in the community that really needs the help right now specifically. When you drive down that street, there's just a lot of businesses that look like they're deteriorating, and I don't know if it's really that conducive for a person who may want to shop there, because, believe it or not, a lot of times when people feel safe in an area, when it's attractive looking, it makes people want to shop in that part. So I would like to see if we could look at that targeted area there on Rosecrans. But we're also open for any other suggestions here. Mark, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was wondering in regards to the consultancy, that's up to 20%, right? We don't necessarily have to provide that. I know we just presented it to the public, but I don't want somebody to say, oh, I can only do it for 50 when they could probably do it for 35 or something like that.
It will be set at 20%.
Oh, it's set on 20%. Okay, second thing, in regards to eligible uses, when the consultant comes on board, could you have them investigate the probability of us including cameras inside of the facade improvements? Can that be included in the discussion with the consultant?
In terms of installing like a security cameras as part of the facade?
On the external, if we select Rosecrans between, what'd you say, Crenshaw and Van Ness and?
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
to have some, see if we can look into if we can have some cameras kind of go along some of those businesses on the exteriors.
Yeah, so the guideline that staff has presented tonight is really a draft version that staff has came up with after doing a research with what other surrounding cities have done in the past. So when we bring in the consultant, they'll make sure that they go through the list, and we'll definitely mention that as part of the if it qualifies as an eligible use, and that's something that we can add to the list and discuss with the consultant.
Okay, thank you. That helps folks become a little bit safer.
Okay, you have a question, Mayor Wood, or comment?
Yes, I have a couple of questions, actually. So this is a pilot program, and will it include development standards as we begin to have a conversation about what it is we want to do as commercial facades? Will there be, for example, with what we just did with housing, there were paint colors and it should look like this, should look like that. Well, then, I guess I'm trying to say is, are we going to do research first before is this basically kind of like a research, or are we actually going to go out and redo a facade? Because I couldn't figure that one out.
So right now we have current commercial standards for development.
You do.
And so we would apply the same ones that are in our municipal code now. So they would have to meet current code. I have seen plans that were a little bit more, I guess they put a lot more time and effort into it, and they came up with their own type of theme, like a Spanish theme. I think during this pilot program, maybe we think about that if you want to continue it, but I think it would be pretty time intensive to come up with a theme in this first initial cut, I think.
Okay, and will, for example, Madam Mayor mentioned Rosecrans on Crenshaw, so will this pilot program be directed towards specific areas? Because that looks like what we just did with the housing map. Is that pretty much the same? So will there be particular areas that we're looking at, or?
Sure. So I think the mayor had mentioned between Crenshaw and Western. Well, I've ran a similar program in another city. One of the things that we ensure is that the staff or our consultants have a say in what businesses are eligible. A lot of times if you do this on a first come first served basis, a lot of businesses that don't really need a facade improvement, so they're actually not bad at all. If they apply first, really they should be given it. So we never implement these as a first come first served basis. It's something where the staff will initiate to look at dilapidated buildings and start outlining which buildings would qualify. And as we bring back these guidelines back to you for approval, we can also provide a map and show you the identified buildings that we've seen that should be targeted along that corridor, because there's some nice buildings, there's some that aren't so bad. And with this limited program where you can only do maybe 4 or 5 projects, you're going to really want to focus on the ones that are pretty dilapidated.
And I'm not quite sure how other cities are, but I know in the city of Gardena, even within, say for example, on Van Ness 139th and Rosecrans, or even right there from right there where what's that there, the Big 5 store is, all those properties are owned by different owners. They're not. So how do you deal with, well, I'm owner A and I want to apply for a grant, but owner B says I don't want it, but it's all right along side by side. So how do you do that? I mean, what's going to work in this pilot program that's going to incorporate the concerns for business owner A not want to participate, or even right there from King's Liquor all the way down to the laundromat, that whole courtyard back there? How are we going to address those concerns?
So, you know, one of the, I guess, drawbacks of the program is you can't force anyone to take our money. Even though we're trying to help them, we still can't mandate them to say, hey, you need to take our money and improve your facade. So that's one of the challenges of doing this. When we do these programs, you would hope, a lot of times you don't have funds to do every business along a corridor, but once, it's kind of like the broken window syndrome, hopefully that you start seeing, but in the opposite, where you start seeing improvements, that other business owners start also wanting to make improvements. But you know, you can't force them to take our money and improve their business, unfortunately.
Not necessarily force. I don't think anybody's going to force anyone to take money, but is there some part in this program where you can get together to show folks how to, that this is going to be a beneficial thing? Again, what I know most about is right there on Van Ness Way and 139th and down to Rosecrans. And they're all individual owners, and they came together, and, you know, U-Haul's right across the street, and they came up with a plan. Everybody kind of marched, just even though they're all individual owners, but each owner has specific needs in terms of parking, aesthetics, landscaping, all that. But somehow they managed to get together, and that was done through community block grants a long time ago. But is there something here that I'm trying to say that would incorporate putting folks together or meetings? So, I mean, because to my way of thinking, what good does it do to just improve one shop and right next door? It needs some help too as well. So what do we do? You can't force. Of course, you can't force people who want to do that. But is there something in the program that's going to help encourage folks to participate in such a program to show them the benefits of commercial facade improvement?
Yeah, certainly. We can show examples of, you know, before and afters that have been done in other local jurisdictions. Normally we do set up marketing flyers, and then we start canvassing the area, making the program known to those business owners. To your point, we could provide an incentive that, hey, if 2 or 3 businesses want to do this together, that, you know, we're going to look at that in a priority type of basis. So that you can kind of see something bigger. But it's our program. We can develop the standards and the criteria that this council would like to see, and if they'd like to see where, hey, if there's 2, 3, 4, or 5 businesses in a row that like to all do this simultaneously, and you want to give those types of partnerships a priority in this program, then that's certainly something we can write into the program.
Okay, just one more question. So what's the objective of this program, and what's the goal, and how do you know that you've done a good job? Or how do you know it works? Because this is a pilot. And so how do you know, number one, what's the objective? I couldn't quite, I don't know, maybe I think it's probably just a teacher in me. I need to have an objective to look at and say, is this where we're headed? And how do we know we got there?
So I think in the beginning of Jackie's presentation, we kind of threw out three goals that we think would be achievable. One was to obviously facilitate commercial revitalization. This goes back to the old redevelopment days. I know Gardena never had an agency, but the idea was to assemble parcels, do facade improvements, do loans, do grants to stimulate commercial revitalization. That doesn't happen overnight. And so you won't see that immediately. Or you may see some, like, hey, everyone's fixing up their building. I'm going to use the same contractor, and maybe I can get a discounted rate. Since he's doing their businesses, he'll come and do mine. So that would be one way you can measure. You know, if you, again, stimulating investment into the community. Again, if other businesses start seeing the city investing into the community, they are likely to say, hey, the city is wanting us to improve our image. They're actually investing their own funds into this. You would hope that other business owners would then say, hey, I'm going to invest in my business also because the city wants is doing it also. And then improving your shopping opportunities and pleasant walkability and the entire experience. So again, a nice neighborhood, a nice commercial corridor, people tend to gravitate to those areas. So I don't think we will be able to stand out there and count people, but you would hope that you'd see an increase on sales tax from those business owners. Or maybe it's just the comments from the community that, hey, you know, we like driving home after work down Rosecrans in this area because it looks so much nicer. And so maybe there's some effects that aren't monetary, but it gives a sense of belonging to the community, the residents. So if you want to establish certain measurable criteria, we could think about those. But a lot of these things take time, and you may not see an immediate result.
Well, I thank you for your comments because this is it's been a long process, and I guess going back a long way, one of the things that they did take a look at going down Rosecrans to the median, that was slow traffic, and so there have been some steps, but it's been a long time since very much has been implemented. And with all the new real estate development coming in, all the new townhouses going up, we need to do something to improve our commercial corridor image, our commercial facade image. I think it's important. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Yes.
You have a question? Councilmember Love.
I have a few questions. One, I just want to suggest a few other intersections or a few other streets that I think we should take a look at. One, Rosecrans and Normandy, that shopping center with the Dollar Tree. The buildings over there can use some revitalization. All up and down Crenshaw, from the beginning of El Segundo all the way down to, Redondo, can use some revitalization. Vermont and Rosecrans, the big shopping center across the street from Lucky Lady, coming into the city, I think that would be another area to look at, to consider, to invest in that way, giving people an opportunity to see a better Gardena coming off the freeway. Second question is the matching funds. Is there I guess with the whole project, is there some kind of agreement that we would get from the businesses that they would stay in business once we invest in this project to improve their business? Is there something that will be written up so that?
Yes, I believe. Excuse myself. I don't know.
Yeah, so normally in these programs, there will be an agreement. A lot of times the loans that we offer out will be prorated. And well, usually it's about a 5 to 7 year commitment that we request. If they leave, you know, say after year 3, they need to pay back a certain percentage. If they fulfill the full 5 to 7 years, then they wouldn't pay back anything. But we usually ask for some sort of commitment to stay in the community so that the community gets its return. Usually it's the business that goes out and not the owner. So if you see an owner who participates and the business leaves, that's okay because the building is still there and it's improved. So it depends whether it's the owner who's leasing or an actual owner of a business who's occupying, and they get up and leave and basically reap the benefit of a higher sale because we did the TI on it. So, but yeah, we will definitely have a stopgap in there.
So the agreement is between the property owner and not the business owner?
Oh yeah, definitely
Okay.
the property owner.
Additional question, if this is approved tonight, is there a way that we can pull funding from any other source besides general funds going forward? Like, we don't have the block grants anymore, or is there other funding that we can pull from?
I think for future years, you could definitely look at other funding sources. Right now, I don't think our CDBG funds are allocated in that way. But if that's something the council would like to do, we could look at other funding sources, such as CDBG. I caution you, though, we don't like to mingle funds, so if we put in some general fund dollars, if you taint that fund with 1 penny of CDBG dollars, you know, we fall under all the CDBG guidelines and criteria.
So are you saying that if we implement this project, this plan, that moving forward, we can only use general funds?
Oh, no.
Okay,
You
that's
could-
what I was asking.
Yeah,
If we approve this tonight, we're using general funds for the pilot. If this is something that the city decides to continue, will we be able to pull funds from other areas besides our general funds?
Oh, certainly. You know, you can then, as a council, want to fund it with CDBG funds, but you'd have to take it away from other programs that you're currently funding.
In your research, were you able to determine what other cities were pulling funds from, or were the majority of them pulling from general funds?
Yeah, I think Jackie did a little research on that.
So I've took a look at about 9 to 10 cities, and majority of the cities were using the CDBG funds. Also the American Rescue Fund, which also goes back to CDBG. So technically, they were the same funding sources.
Okay, and considering there's other options for locations, how would you guys determine which location would be chosen? Is that something that the consultant would determine, or is that something that staff would have input on, or council would have input on?
Well, I think we're looking for a direction of a designated area, whether that's Rosecrans or whatnot. One of the things that staff would work with the consultant in doing, and when we bring back these guidelines to you, is also identify the properties along that corridor that should seek this program. Again, we don't like to do a first come, first serve, because you may have a not so bad building apply for funding, first ones, and we'll give it to them, but really there's 10 others who are really dilapidated. And so we ourselves would want to stay in control of that. It's our program, and we want to help those that are in most need. And also, if there's a priority where, like was previously mentioned by the Mayor Pro Tem, 2 or 3 or 4 businesses in a row that want to participate in the program, and you want to make that a priority, we can certainly do that.
Will we get to see the design of these facades? Because I know, like, the Mayor Pro Tem was talking about the one on Van Ness, and then I know that at one point there was one right here on Western and 164 if that was done. And I would like to see something more modern being done to improve our facades.
Certainly. So normally what I've seen happen is the consultant you hire also does some renderings for the business owner. It's very costly to now go out to bid and just hire an architect to do a rendering. And because our funding is limited, these are small amounts. So you won't see a lot of change in architecture. You'll see a change in color, paint, parapets, walls, windows, doors, landscaping. But you won't see big architectural changes with this type of funding. That's not to say that in future years you might want to increase the funding. We know there's other cities that offer loans up to $200,000 each, and they're able to do significant amounts of architectural and facade improvements. This pilot program really focuses on smaller loans, and so you won't see big architectural changes, but we hope we can get some landscaping done, some signage done, colors, maybe a little bit of the parapet walls and stucco. But I think we want to maintain our expectations with a $50,000 loan.
But they have the ability to match, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that if they're matching that, the designs are, they don't fade out after 5 years.
Certainly, yeah. And so we normally have the consultant do three renderings, and we work with the business owner to pick what's feasible with their loan amount. A lot of times they'll want to take a $40,000 loan. They'll match. So they have a total of 80, and our architect or rendering person will actually do something that's feasible with $80,000. It won't be a whole lot, but it'll be a change for those that are really dilapidated. So,
thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Just a couple of quick things I wanted to mention. I think it would be good in our first year if we just stuck with a particular area. I know I mentioned Rosecrans, Councilmember Love mentioned Rosecrans as well as Crenshaw. For me, because it always seems like all the other streets sometimes get the attention, Artesia, Redondo Beach. And I think we have an opportunity right now to really focus on Rosecrans. And even if we widen the area, let's just say on Rosecrans from Crenshaw all the way to Vermont, but stay with that corridor right there for our first 12 months. See how the program goes. If it goes well, we can consider maybe the following year, maybe extending it to Rosecrans and Crenshaw. But because it's a pilot program, and if everybody is okay with that, I'd like to just kind of see how it goes. How, if we get the word out there, does it take off, or does it just sit there? I think it will be good. I think once people or businesses know that there is money out there available for them, and like I said, whether it's something as simple as signage, landscaping makes a huge difference. And it can be costly. Good landscaping done that can really improve an area. 25,000, I've seen that just in landscaping. So, but it's things like that, landscaping, lighting in an area, just some simple window changes that 25,000 could fix. So I think the amount is good that we're starting with, a minimal amount, and businesses that want to match it, I think that's great if they have some money that they can work with. I also like the fact that, normally I don't like the fact of using our general funds, but because when we passed Measure G with the voters, we told our community that Measure G, the money that we received from that, is that it was going to stay in the community. So this is a perfect project for something like this here, using our Measure G money, because that brought in additional money, and now we can put it right back into the community, an area that we travel, that we see that will make the city of Gardena look that much better. So starting off, I think it's great. Pulling money from the general fund, which ultimately came from Measure G, and then as we move forward, maybe year 2, we can then look at CDBG funds for this as well. So I think it just kind of all falls into line there. And if the council, like I said, is open to the idea of just staying on Rosecrans, this first, was it 12 months, I think we said, for the pilot program, I think that would be a great idea. So any other comments or questions?
Well, I guess my biggest concern about Rosecrans, I know we got the meeting there, but I would like to see something that's more, what's the word for it? Can we just get to, before we start choosing areas, just kind of get this thing approved? Because Rosecrans, so you're coming down Rosecrans, all right? So you got the apartments on one side, all the apartment buildings there, and then you got big lots. Coming down, you got that little space, what was that going to be, right next to the strip part, the ditch, they call it the ditch. Okay, and then right next door that you have a closed, what used to be a nudie cutie place, for lack of a better word. Then you have the strip mall. Then you have the car wash. Then you have these mechanical stores, the automotive stores. Then you got churches. Then you have a liquor store. Then you have the swap meet. So I'm trying to figure out how Nixon Foods on the other side, and the Rosecrans place, let's not forget them, and that little place used to be a really good Mexican restaurant that's still there, but it's not, it's kind of down on the ground now. Has been, you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just there. It's beyond dilapidated. So, I mean, how do you, when you begin to talk about areas to, start with a pilot program, I like to see something more in terms of feasibility, something that would, am I off base here? Or
well, one of the things that I think, because we have a large area here, you're talking Rosecrans in general, we keep the project, we're only talking 1 year. That time's going to go by really fast. But if we keep it from Vermont to Crenshaw, there are individual businesses that may not be part of a strip mall. Let's just say, for instance, Matthews is one. It's right next door to churches. Maybe they want to do facade. I'm just using an example. Maybe they want to do facade improvements there. Landscaping, signage, something just to start some attraction there. What I found in other cities, and I've seen this on Artesia, I've seen this on Redondo Beach. Look at the See's Candy that just opened up on Redondo Beach Boulevard in Van Ness. The fact that a business like See's Candy, they did some new frontage signing there in the front. They built it out in the front there. It's already even busier now, just since that opened up. So it's little things like that that can make a big difference here. I've seen that on Artesia, when Rascals and all those Gatton Sushi and all those different places moved in there, you can't even find parking in there. When you look at on Rosecrans where Dollar Tree and what's the fitness place, not Blink, Fitness 9, when they went there, and when Starbucks, just some basic improvements there, those shopping centers are packed out. So, I mean, this is what we want in our community. So whatever little bit we can do to help out there, just to kind of jumpstart this. And generally when one business owner says, oh, okay, well, you know, Ms. Francis, you know, you were able to get some money and you improved and now you have all these customers here, I want to do the same thing as well. So again, it's only 12 months. Let's see where it goes, you know, and you know, if it gets some traction to it, then we've done a good thing and we can roll with the next year. But I think if we stick with one area right now, and again, everybody always talks about we forget Rosecrans. This is an opportunity that we can now bring something to North Gardena here, a corridor that people are constantly, you know, saying we need to see improvement.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I just rather see, rather than, you know, jumping out right now and say, okay, we're going to do this area right now, let's do a little research and kind of see what works best, because I've heard some, you know, walkability, shoppability kinds of things. So before we, you know, just jump out there and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, let's maybe take a look at needed areas where it's most need. I've heard people talk about Western. I have a friend that talks about all the great, I guess, sushi restaurants over there or something, all the great restaurants around Western. And she says, oh, but you know, I don't like the area. We don't go over there. So why? You know, because she forgets I live in Gardena. But so maybe before we, you know, just say, okay, this area we're going to go, let's just kind of take a look at where the need is and where we can get the most bang for our buck, rather than just business by business. That's all I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting that Rosecrans wouldn't be a good place. So let's kind of take a look at it. Since it's just a pilot program, let's pilot and see what would work best or where the need is, and then move on.
Well, I think one of the things we have to take into account is the fact that Gardena is already, it's a built-out city. So it's not like we have a lot of,
will be.
well, and that's the interesting side to a program like this. I mean, when you go to some areas, let's just say further out in your Riverside area, you can look at a corner and say, hey, we want to build up this particular area, and you know, it's a little, I think, easier sometimes with a specific plan. But when you have an area that's built out, sometimes, I hate to use the term, you got to piece it together, but you kind of do. And it's you know, maybe everything won't be done at one time because you have all these different owners. So this is just one opportunity just to try something here and see if it takes off. So a perfect example, you look at something like the new townhomes that were built on Rosecrans and Van Ness. I can't think of the G3 project, and looked really great. People loved it. They sold out really quick. Well, then you had Rosecrans Place. By the time we did the grand opening, they were already sold out. And they start telling people, hey, get ready for the one next to where the old Shakey's was at. So I'm saying, I mean, these projects here, I mean, you build one, people like it, you know, and it just keeps exploding and it keeps expanding. So again, I think we just might have an opportunity with the commercial side here to do the same thing.
Yeah.
For those owners who do want to stay and they want to do something, this is now an opportunity for them.
I don't disagree. That's just, since this is a pilot program, just one year, I just want to see us get locked and tied down, locked into one particular area. Just kind of see what the need is out there, because there may or may not be a need. What kind of funding, additional funding we can go take a look at. Measure G certainly was one of the things we promised we'd do. This out there, community block grants, because 139th and Van Ness, it was all community block grants, and then the property owners made matching funds, because what they wanted to do, actually what the plan was, actually exceeded the amount of money that was available from the city, and so each business owner chipped in, and that's how you got what it is. But of course that needs upgrading right now as well. But rather than, since it's just a pilot, rather than getting just tied down to one specific area, let's see what our feasibility is. Let's maybe, I'm not quite sure, have you done a feasibility study as of yet, or will the pilot program accommodate something like that, to see where the need is, what we can do about what we can do about the need?
So to repeat your question, how is the pilot program available to conduct a feasibility study to determine what type of other fundings that we can use to?
Well, not necessarily, just a feasibility study of what actually, because to me, a pilot program, you're just saying, okay, let's take a look at it. Let's see where you want to go, this, how it's going to work. And we don't have a lot of money, so before we get locked down in anything, let's just, and maybe a feasibility study is not a best word for it, but actually, what are we talking about? I see a lot of good ideas, and I see some suggestions, but if we're looking at moving into year 2, we should really have some idea of where we're heading. I don't know if you set out on a trip without figuring out how you're gonna get to your destination. I mean, that's just me personally. I don't know.
Okay. Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Madam City Attorney, please watch me as I speak on this. I just want to remind us we do have a process that we've developed some years ago in regards to dealing with abandoned commercial property, so we should probably go back and have a discussion on how we exercise that. I'm not going to name a specific property,
Okay.
but how to do,
Okay.
all right?
Good job for tonight.
They're okay, all right.
Tobacco.
I do have another question.
Go ahead.
I'm going to agree with Mayor Pro Tem Francis, and even if $250,000, which we won't get the whole $250,000 because you got to pay this consultant and all these additional fees. So it looks like you're looking at like $200,000. From Crenshaw to Vermont, looking at Rosecrans, you have several shopping centers. You got Rosecrans, and between Crenshaw and Van Ness, you got shopping centers on both sides of the streets. Then you have the next shopping center down on Normandy, and then you have another one down on Vermont. $250,000 is not going to stretch all the way down to Rosecrans. So even if we chose Rosecrans, and I'm not saying that I am agreeing with Rosecrans, but even if we chose Rosecrans, how do you determine which shopping center or which stores? Because you can go in and fix up one of the businesses on Rosecrans across from the Big Five, and I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference considering the state that that shopping center is in currently. So how I'm okay with the pilot program, but I'm stuck on how do you determine which shopping centers that you choose, because like I said, you can look at Crenshaw all the way down Crenshaw and it needs improvements. You can look at Vermont right at Rosecrans, and on both sides of Rosecrans and Vermont needs improvement. And then you got the shopping centers on Rosecrans in between. How do you choose? So that would be a big reason why I would I would determine my decision based on how you're going to choose.
Well, we were looking for a direction for an area, and so we got some direction of an area. It was a large area, but normally what we do as staff and with the consultant is, again, identify those dilapidated properties along that corridor. Some of them will be new buildings. Some won't be that bad. They'll have decent landscaping, parking, signage. They're up to code. And then you're going to have buildings that are just run down and really need some help. And maybe financially they're just not able to do that. And those are the candidates that we're going to try and seek out. But it's a process of actually going out and doing a survey, walking Rosecrans in that area and looking at it and coming up with which ones are the most dilapidated and identifying those and then marketing the program to them to see if they're interested.
So are you saying that we're still only looking at Rosecrans?
Or whatever you decide.
It's still open. It's still open.
Yeah, and then are we looking at whole shopping centers, or are we looking at businesses that are we looking at, if you say you went to the shopping center right there next to the G3 project, and some did, some don't, some will, some won't, and then you went to another shopping center and you have more that will and less that won't, and both of them need the same amount of attention. I mean, can you guys use that to help make a decision on which shopping centers, or are you guys talking about business individuals?
Well, these would be marketed to the owners. So I think you're talking about the Green Market Plaza on the corner.
I'm talking about the
Van
opposite
Ness
one.
And
The opposite one where Matthews Church's Chicken, that's right there next to the new housing development.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about that one. I'm actually talking about all of them. I'm just saying that I'm really interested in just seeing how you guys are going to determine who's going to get this
certainly.
funding.
So Church's Chicken, I lived right around the corner from there for about 13 years, so I know that well. But that has
Every Church's Chicken is ran down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
every Church's Chicken.
I mean, I'd love to see that area redone. But anyhow, I think that place has some drainage issues with its site plan. I think it's a dilapidated building paint-wise. That they have decent signage because that's their logo, but it's pretty antiquated. So, you know, you could, it's a franchisee. It's not owned by churches. They franchise these things. So there's an owner to that. They don't have marked parking. They have poor ingress and egress onto the site. And so there's a lot of things that can be done, particularly on churches. And so we would mark those down. You go next door, you have Matthew's Restaurant. I don't see a whole lot of business there, but maybe it's because they don't have proper signage, maybe because they have pretty poor landscaping. I know they share their trash compaction with the strip mall next door. And so there's some other ancillary things we can do there to make it more attractive and hopefully bring them customers over there. And then right next door you have the automobile mall I think you were talking about. One of the things we need to look at too is who's in compliance. And in that shopping mall I currently am, stop me if I'm saying too much.
Don't speak about specific addresses or any open matters that we have currently.
But you know, there's issues we need to look at as we approach owners of businesses, whether they're eligible or not.
Yeah, again, my point is I'm okay with the pilot program, but there is a lot of areas that can use this amount of money to revitalize and maybe strike. I mean, you got right there where Mr. Fry's and Smitty's Pudding, and then the strip mall across the strip shopping center across the street right there, Marine and Western. So I would just suggest that you guys take a look at the different ones in the city and maybe bring back a suggestion to us besides just Rosecrans.
So, oh, go ahead.
Just a quick question. So the pilot program, now I kind of, perhaps I'm misunderstanding. You're looking more at business by business as opposed to area by area, and that was just the map, but there was just the zoning that it was the same one that was used for the housing element?
Yeah, that map was just...
But more or less you were just looking business by business or where the greatest need was in terms of business, not necessarily area?
Certainly. So that's just a zoning map. One of the things we just wanted to point out where our commercial corridors were, and that's usually where you're looking at the red. That's all what that map was for. Staff was looking for a little direction on what area you'd like to start this pilot program at, so that we could then focus on that and bring that back to you with the guidelines and the procedures. It's not a whole lot of money, but it's something to see if there's any interest in pursuing this after seeing some completion of some projects. So, you know, if you're looking for a big plaza to be revamped with all new signage, all 14 tenants with new facades and landscaping and new striping and new lighting, it's not going to happen on this pilot program. So, you know, as we get our designated area guidance from you, we'll go ahead and work with the consultant, go out and identify those most dilapidated properties that would be eligible in using these funds, and then we'd bring those back to you to review.
Do you know where those properties are located?
Say again?
Do you know where those properties are located?
No, we would definitely go out there and walk the area. I mean, if we were talking churches, I do know Matthews.
I'm not specific, but I'm just suggesting, because if you're doing a pilot program and you have some idea of what you want to do with your pilot program, what you want us to recommend that you do, I was wondering if you had any ideas about where we should start, or I mean, because you know you're the community development guy, so I'm kind of relying on your expertise. I mean, I know what I know, but I also would like to hear what you know.
I think there's a lot of areas in the city that could use some assistance. You represent the community and you live here still, and you know, we're going to seek your guidance on that. When I was a resident, you know, yeah, I'd love for you to have done churches in that area. That was right around the corner from me. But you know, I think you guys know best, and that's why we're looking to you guys for a little.
So, again, you know, this is my suggestion because, again, North Gardena, you know, a lot of times people don't like to call that, but Rosecrans is an area that for some time out has needed this. If let's just say hypothetically, I say Rosecrans from Vermont to Crenshaw. The consultant could come in and say, maybe we need to condense that down some. Let's limit it to Western, Rosecrans from Western to Crenshaw. I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there. You would then come back with that recommendation and we can tweak this, something like that. So, I mean, I just kind of gave something more general because, again, at the end of the day, everybody's not going to jump on this. I mean, just like I think it was during COVID when we had that ARPA money and it was business assistance, we just thought everybody was going to jump out there and apply for this money, but some people did, some people didn't. Some people didn't qualify. Some people didn't have business licenses. Some people didn't have the appropriate documentation. So, there's a lot of reasons why businesses may or may not. You just never know. So the fact is we have a specific area. We're trying something else where we're calling it a pilot and see what happens with it. One thing I would like to make, and I'm just going to make a motion and see where it goes because it may die or maybe it'll take off, but I would like to make sure that one of the things that would be ineligible would be putting a mural up, because I don't think if we want to do an improvement that's necessarily, a mural. I think we're looking at things like we said before, landscaping, lighting, better signage, things of that nature, fixing the broken windows, repairs and things like that. If there are no more do you have a question? I do. Go ahead.
Because this is a pilot, I'm a person that like to be proactive instead of reactive, and I do believe that businesses will get on board and want this project or this program to continue, especially with spending $2 million on Gardena Boulevard and revitalizing Gardena Boulevard. I think that's going to spark the businesses in the city. And then when other businesses, I think educating the businesses and getting them qualified if we really want this program to continue and to succeed. So it sounds like on one hand we want it, and then on the other hand it may not be needed. Businesses may not apply for it. Well, I disagree with that. Running the chamber for 17 years now, if the businesses know and is aware that this opportunity is there, they will take advantage of it. So one of the reasons why I'm asking so many questions is if this is going to be the pilot, if this is going to be the groundwork, then we need to set this up right the first time and not have to come back and do too much correction. So I don't think we should focus on Rosecrans. I think you all should look at other areas in the city and maybe bring back some suggestions, or I don't want to just focus on Rosecrans.
Okay.
Aren't we only looking at 10 projects? I mean, we're making a big deal out of something that's only 10 projects at $25,000 for $250,000.
We probably wouldn't get to 10. Yeah, maybe less, maybe 5.
Okay. We have somebody from the public like to speak. Princess Griffin.
Good evening. As I was sitting here listening to this, my building, or from Gramercy to Van Ness on Rosecrans, is actually owned by one person. There's multiple areas where when I was looking at my business where it was going to go, Rosecrans, of course, is just everyone. Once you hear Rosecrans, you just want to go there because it kind of has a lot of history, whether you're coming from Compton all the way to Gardena. And actually a lot of businesses in the areas, if you do the program and it's property owner based instead of it being business based, I think you'll actually have a better turn of seeing how many, okay, this whole block now it's completely beautified because you went through the property owner instead of actually going through business by business. I think that would be really beneficial to the community, just as far as beautification aesthetic wise, as well as the 5 to 7 year commitment. I think that putting people in that and letting them know that, you're not going to have to, as long as you commit and you stay, you keep this area thriving, that'll actually push for more businesses to be or more property owners to be, okay, let me put more businesses in these areas because I have a commitment, and not so much a commitment on the business owners themselves. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions or comments? If not, I'd like to just make a motion. Let's just see where this goes here, to see if we can approve and establish a 12-month pilot commercial facade improvement program with the with the recommendation of doing Rosecrans from Vermont to Crenshaw, and also just making that one little note that it would not include being able to put an ineligible use would be murals up there as well. So I'm going to make the motion. If anybody would like to second it.
I'll second it.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by myself, excuse me, and a second by Mayor Pro Tem. Would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Francis,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
and Councilmember Love.
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so next we're going to move on to council remarks. We're going to begin tonight with Mayor Pro Tem Francis.
There. So, so since the last time we met, I attended the Sarah event honoring the women of Sarah. It's a very nice event, and you say, what's the big deal about Sarah? Sarah went co-ed, I guess, early 90s, and so it was all boys school up until that time. So for them to set aside a day just to honor the young women that attend Sarah High School, I was just like, so you guys, you don't even know how meaningful this is, what a big deal this is. And there were some wonderful young women there from all professions, basketball to all kinds of things. But it was a very nice event. I also attended our vector control meeting. I also attended C's grand opening, and it was raining that day, but people were lined up from the door all the way down to the Ralph's parking lot. And then on that side, then there were still folks around on the other side, but it was a wonderful grand opening. The CEO of C's Candy came. I kept saying, you're the CEO, you're here, really? Because you're the CEOs, they're wherever they are, where CEOs do their business. They never come down. But so we got Easter coming up, St. Patrick's Day, so I'll go by and get some C's Candy. Has lots of lollipops, and it's a great store. And I also attended the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Commemorative Youth Program and essay presentation. We had to reschedule because we had planned on doing it as a part of our parade for February 25th, but as you all know, it rained. But it was a very nice program. And I want to give a shout out to directors Stephanie Santine and Miss Amber and all the staff that worked that day. They helped us have a wonderful program. And also give a shout out to Senator Bradford, who brought certificates to our young people. We had 9 essay contests winners, first, second, and third place from elementary, middle, and high school. And Miss Amber, she did a whole video montage of all the parades that we've had since, oh my goodness, it was really, really nice. And they put a sign, welcome essay winners. It was very nice, and everyone that was able to attend enjoyed the program. Also, so thank you for helping us make it a very special event and very successful. I also attended the Cinco de Mayo Spring Dinner Fundraiser. That was on Sunday. I mentioned all these things that just had food, and the food was great, and it was a very nice program as well. And let me invite you to this Saturday, March 18th. The Gardena Beautification Commission is hosting a hands-on gardening workshop. It starts at 9:30. It's at Raleigh Park. And I know that we're all excited about the rain and the snow and all that, and people are saying that, well, the drought is over now, but when the drought ends, conservation begins. So you might as well try and save some dollars and try to move toward considering drought-tolerant plants for your yard, all right? And just, thank you. I want to thank my colleagues for all the contributions and the conversations about what it is we're trying to do and what we'd like to go for, have done for this, improve the city. And our hearts are all in the right place. We want to do what's best for our city, and I think that's what you hear. That's what you hear from the conversation, because we're here because we love the city of Gardena. So thank you for your thoughtful conversation. Appreciate it, as well as staff too. Oh, and one more thing. This is Women's History Month, and I'd like to thank all the women that make this city go. I know you see a lot of the guys up front, but there are. Just look at the council right here, and then think about who's in the offices making the phone calls, taking the notes, answering phones from every department, Gardena PD, every department. Happy Women's History Day, ladies. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I think a round of applause is in order.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Councilmember Tanaka.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, so since our last, I hosted the COGS, the South Bay COGS Homeless Task Force meeting, where some of our staff were on hand for that. I donated blood to the Gardena PD blood drive. That was one of the better blood drives, I believe, that we've had in the city. I also attended the Sarah High School Tribute to Women of Sarah. Great event for a first-timer. They brought some alum back that were basketball stars, some entertainment, people. It was just a really great day to celebrate the women that have gone through the trials and tribulations of coming to an all-boys school and being the forefront of being women on that campus. Just great testimony. So we thank the president, Dr. Moran, for inviting us. Attended the active shooter presentation by Captain Osorio. I believe that our city staff that attended this are way more prepared for any type of an active shooter incident that would happen on our campus here, and it was a really good event. So the chief, I hopefully give him a little applause there. No raises though. I went to Sarah High School for the International Space Station presentation that was put on by 5 young men who belong to the National Society of Black Engineers. These young men, for months, have worked on this project to send an experiment into space to the space station, and they actually, I think, are only one of 8 schools that were awarded this this project. And they are sending seeds to be germinated to the space station. I think it's going to be out of North Carolina. They're shooting a rocket, and everything will be done remotely from here, and they're looking forward to seeing what transpires out of this experiment. But I was very impressed by the presentation that they put on, the enthusiasm that they had. A couple of guys didn't even know what they were doing when they first jumped into this project, and I'm really proud that these young men took this on. It just shows you what local talent can do in our schools. So I've asked the city manager to maybe invite them to our council meeting to recognize them with some type of a certificate of completion. It really is just a great thing. I attended the Nakaoka Center youth mixer that staff put on. We met some really great students with some great talent, and hopefully they were given applications to become part of our youth commission. I'm waiting to see what ones actually applied so that I can actually go through those and maybe pick 1 or 2, because there were some really great kids that came to that. I attended the South Bay COGS South Bay Legislative get-together. It was held at Cal State Dominguez Hills. It was our first in-person meeting since before COVID. Assemblyman Lowenthal from the 69th District was there, Senator Gibson, Senator Bradford, Supervisor Hahn, and our own COG President, Mayor Cruikshank, spoke briefly on some bills and things that are being introduced. Attended the Gardena Police Department hiring information event at the Nakaoka. It was a great presentation put on by our own Detective Bazan and Officer Carter. We had about 8 or 9 prospective candidates show up to find out what we were offering, and I think we might get 2 or 3 out of this if we're lucky. Attended the Seas Canyon opening. I was a little bit late because I was at this other event, but what a great thing that has come to our city. As Mayor Pro Tem said, the CEO showed up, Maxine Waters showed up, Senator Bradford, It was really, really a great event, and there were just hundreds of people there. So welcome to C's, because that's one of my best places. I'll be there after Lent. And then I attended the COG's transportation meeting and also the COG steering committee meeting. So I was a little bit busy this week. But again, thank you to all of our staff. Congratulations to our women for Women's Month, and I just thank you for all that you do for our city. That is my report.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councilmember Love.
Since I last attended a council meeting, I wanted to add something to Senator Bradford's field deputy's mention. She failed to mention that the taxes would be done by professionals, so I told her I would make sure that was stated. I, too, attended the Sarah High inaugural tribute to women of Sarah as their keynote speaker, and it was pretty amazing. When I was called to do that, I was kind of a little questioning if that was something I would have been able to do, but it was a pleasant surprise that to hear some of the women that attended Sarah and the struggles that they went through as students at Sarah, it kind of motivated me to do something that I'm pretty excited to do. I'll mention it a little later in my report. But it was really great to be a keynote speaker for the students and for the women at Sarah, considering, you know, what they had to go through when they first became a co-ed student. It was really interesting to hear. I also attended the Friends of the Library St. Patrick's Day meet and greet, which was their first meeting since the pandemic. The Park and Rec's youth mixer was really amazing to work with the youth and the young adults and to decorate cakes. And I would never thought that would have been something that I was going to do that night, but it was pretty fun to take a white cake and decorate it and represent the city of Gardena. The Seas Candy grand opening, you know, I talked to Pat, the CEO, and I got there a little early, and so I was listening to him do the report, and Seas had only been open 21 days at that time, and they said that the Torrance store was a $5 million store, and they said we did $80,000 in 21 days, and so I told them we coming for Torrance, so, you know, we got to tell everybody to start shopping. I was in there yesterday as if I needed more candy, and there was a lady that was in there from Long Beach. And so we're starting to pull a lot of customers from other places. So Pat was really excited. The CEO was really excited. The whole staff and admin, they had all flown down from San Francisco. And they were pretty excited that we got our congresswoman in our state assembly and Senate and the elected officials to show up. They said that they had just done a grand opening in Dana Point 2 weeks prior to. But they said that the Gardena grand opening was one of the best grand openings they had ever done. So, you know, I want to say thank you to my colleagues, and our elected officials in the community really showed up and came out in the rain for that event. So I'm pretty glad to see C's in the house. I attended LA County Woman of the Year with our Board of Supervisor, Holly Mitchell. And I had the pleasure and privilege to sit at the table with a woman that she was 89 years old. And she was an Army Corps, and she was an engineer. Back in 1961, they commissioned her to do the design for the Marina del Rey harbor. And it was during a time where women, it was kind of like that Hidden Figure movie, where women did a lot of work but never got the credit. And so to see her receive a recognition from our Board of Supervisors, and she said she never was allowed to go to the marina to see it, but she had to do the design, the engineer design plan for the Marina del Rey harbor without ever going to the harbor. And she said she didn't think at that time the impact that it would have on her. So to sit with her and talk to her yesterday and be recognized as a woman for LA County Woman of the Year was pretty amazing. I also attended the Speak Up event at Raleigh Park. And I want to take this time to thank my colleagues, city department heads, staff, community residents, and businesses. I lost my mom February 28th, and I laid her to rest Saturday. And a lot of people were surprised to see me at the Seas grand opening. My mom had 9 kids, and several times staff asked me if I wanted to submit something in remembrance to be printed in the program. I couldn't pull it together to write anything about her. I had to say it because my mom raised over 30 kids. She stood 4'11", and she didn't play. And to see so many come back to her funeral, and I even had residents from the community show up to the funeral to support me. It was no way that I can write something about my mom and just have you guys read it. But the support that I received, the plants and the flowers, the cards, the signatures from staff at Park and Recs, that really meant a lot to me. The text messages from Chief Safel. So I just wanted to take this time to thank you guys all from the bottom of my heart for being there for me, for letting me know that you guys care. And on that note, I end my report.
Okay, thank you. Let me first begin my report by, number one, offering condolences from this entire council to Councilmember Love for the loss of your mother. I can't imagine what you're probably going through with that. But you have our condolences from the entire council. Since the last council meeting, I attended KIPP Generations School, which is located right down the street here on 162nd and Normandy. And their student council, which consisted of, I believe it was 4th and 5th graders, they asked me to come, and they had questions for me as a mayor. And I was so taken back by the research that these young people did, learning what a mayor and a city council does. And I invite all of you guys to go and be questioned by the city council, because they came up with some really great things that made me go, gosh, I didn't really put that much thought into coming to speak to the kids. I don't mean to say not that much thought, but they asked some really great questions as far as, you know, what's your biggest contribution to the city? You know, what do you plan to do in X amount of years, and et cetera. And it was really a lot of fun talking to the young people. They had a lot of great suggestions and ideas, and I'll probably suggest some of these later on throughout the year. But it's always great speaking with young people, seeing how enthusiastic they are about government, what they would like to do in the future, and just based on things that they've heard when city council members, mayors, et cetera, go to talk to them. So glad I was able to attend that. On that same day, excuse me, I attended the Holly Park homeowners meeting that was held at Raleigh Park, where we were able to, and Mayor Pro Tem was there as well, we were able to get a lot of good information from ADAP as it related to flavor tobacco, and they did a great presentation on that. And I'm sure the rest of the council will probably hear it at a later time, you know, in more detail as far as flavored tobacco, how it affects our young people in our community, as well as hearing from the community there about the tobacco shops in the city of Gardena. So I know we're going to be moving forward and doing something, you know, later on in the next couple of meetings here as it relates to moratorium and so on. But just hearing from the community and being able to take action, I'm glad we were able to do that. Also, since the last council meeting, I attended the South Bay Association of Realtors. They had their elections, and our city clerk, Ms. Mina Semenza, is a part of that, and thank you for the invitation. Their theme was Woodstock, and they know how to throw a really great party. And if you follow her on social media, you can just see some of the awesome costumes, and even our city clerk, seeing her all dressed up in a 70s outfit was really kind of neat. So great event to attend. And initially I was scheduled to be at the Sarah High School Tribute to Women of Sarah's program as their keynote speaker, but unfortunately had a family member's funeral that got scheduled for that day, and I had to back out and decline from being their speaker. But this family member was 100 years old, and this month she would have been 101. So I unfortunately wasn't able to attend that, but I'm glad that all of my colleagues were able to be there, and they were able to get, you know, Councilmember Love to be a backup speaker there as well. And I also attended the youth mixer with the young potential youth commissioners, and it was a great event. Like was said earlier, I never would have thought I would have been doing a cake decorating contest with the youth. It was kind of like doing cake wars, and you know, we had 15 minutes to do these cakes, and it was so much fun and competitive, and just working with the group, with the kids. You know, we drew out a plan what we were going to do. We had 10 minutes to do it, and so it was a fun exercise to do. And then we played Family Feud. You know, it was my team against Chiefs of Fails. They were pretty competitive. We were playing Family Feud there, but you know, my team was it Gardena Goat, Gardena's greatest was the greatest of all time, and we won. So it was kind of fun, but. Anyway, so I'm glad I was able to participate in that, and also I attended the grand opening of C's Candy, and you know, for the residents who are watching, thank you guys for coming out. I mean, I'm sure that line, I didn't count, but it probably looked like it could have been anywhere from 80 to 100 people in line. They stood there in the rain. They were very patient. C's Candy, their people were awesome. They were passing out candy, and everybody was just happy to be out there. You heard some of our other, you know, electeds, you know, Congresswoman, State Senator Bradford was there. So it was really great that everybody could be there, and it was just such a happy occasion to welcome them to the community. But I also just like to recognize our community development department and our economic development manager, because C's Candy people told me it was such a pleasure in working with the city staff here, and so thank you. You know, I appreciate when I hear feedback from their people, their CEOs, of just, you know, how great their experience is with us, because that's what we want. We want to attract more businesses to Gardena, and I'm sure they'll share it with other people and our other businesses, and that's how we continue to grow and do better. So thank you guys for that. And I have to apologize for missing the MLK essay contest winner. Usually I attend that, but I got tied up at work, and so I apologize for not making it to that. But you know, overall, I just want to, you know, thank everybody for all the different events that we go to throughout the years. You can hear we go through a plethora of different things. Some things we can make it to, some things we can't. But the great thing about this council is we show up everywhere, and I hear that from everyone. So with that, I just want to thank all of you guys. Usually I do this at the end of the year, but I thought it'd be great to just do it mid-year now, and I just appreciate everything that we all go to. So with that, that ends my report. Next up is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't keep us all long. Since gratitude is definitely the theme for the night, I want to, first of all, give condolences to Councilmember Love. I understand what that's like. It's not an easy club to belong to, so I understand that. I want to thank Chief Safel for the report on what we were trying to do with the intersection takeovers. I know it's a while for us to kind of, and I keep saying we, but he, to get that information as we start talking about safety in our city, you know. And while you all were talking, I just kept looking at our logo and looking at our signs and incorporated since 1930. We've done a lot in this community since 1930, and we should be proud of, and we all may not have agreed on a lot of things, but you think about where the city began and where it's going. That was one of the drivers for me to ask about looking into historical society as far as what Gardena means to this region, the culture that we bring to LA County. When you're different places, you always run across somebody saying, oh, I used to live in Gardena, or I grew up in Gardena, or and things like that. So Gardena has a major impact in LA County, and that's something we should all be proud of. Since our last meeting, I did go to the youth mixer. I was there at the beginning. We played kind of a dating game with the youth, and they asked some pretty good questions. I got a question I had never been asked before, so I'm still trying to work on the answer for that, because I'd never been asked that. The question was, what's unique about you? And I never really thought of that for myself, so now I kind of got to work on that, because I don't know what makes me unique. I think a lot of things, but I'm not sure. I did attend the Sarah Women's celebration and recognition. Their stories were great. It's interesting, having had a lot of family members and friends that went there as an all-boys school, and then for it to go co-ed, and having some friends that had now gone there as co-ed, and just hearing those stories, and it was almost akin to a civil rights experience for some of the young girls that went there. The bathrooms all had urinals in them, and all these different things you would think an organization would think about, when you want to be inclusive in different things. And for me, I took that as a lesson of making sure that I have different lenses of things that go on in society. Sometimes when you're not part of a particular group or demographic, you're not sensitive or empathetic to the things and the needs of that group. So I just want to encourage everyone to think about others as we kind of go through life, because that was interesting to me. That's like, yeah, we didn't have it. I'm like, I don't know how that got missed, but it seemed like that had been pretty important. I was also at the USC Sol Price Executive Education Forum. I'm a member of their Curriculum Development Board, so I definitely wanted to make sure I attended. It was a great 2 days of learning as far as with a lot of newly electeds up and down the state. We talked with a few city managers, Mark, who's retiring out of Locking out of Flint Ridge, city manager of Lakewood, Thaddeus, and then the city manager for Rolling Hills Estates. They gave a lot of the new council folks some understanding about working in a collaborative manner with the city manager, city staff, and how it goes. You'd be surprised how some newly electeds in different places assume that everybody works for them versus just having one employee and then trying to envision or bring to life a community vision through the levers of government and everything, because I think that's our role. So it's real interesting to kind of get some different perspectives. A lot of the newly elected folks up and down the state are women, which is good to see, especially with this being Women's History Month. So it was great. I think they bring a great perspective on how to really run their communities. I also attended my SCAG joint policy meeting remotely at the COG building. I didn't do it here because I know when I walk through City Hall, everybody gets nervous because I'm going to come with a new idea or something like that. So I wanted to give staff a break. So I met over at the COG office remotely. I did our presentation, or my committee's presentation, final one on racial equity in housing in the region. So we've given SCAG some recommendations on how the region can start looking at making sure there's equity in housing. And I wanted to make sure that we included a bullet point on economics in regards to everybody being inclusive and participating in the economics as housing starts to move around. See's Candy was awesome. I dropped $120 at the grand opening. Didn't mean to, but I got all these orders, and once I posted that I was at See's Candy, I was like, oh, I need this, I need that, I need that. So I got everybody that. So I'm pretty sure we're going to exceed 5 million pretty soon, because everybody keeps finding out we have a See's. I got to always go do pickups. Other than that, again, I just want to thank my colleagues in the council for us having the courage and the strength to looking into a historical society. That would potentially give us an opportunity to, as we start talking about developing our corridors and different things, to start seeking other funding, because there is a lot of history here. And sometimes we don't think about it, but this community has done a lot, culturally, all the different, especially the Japanese culture here, the African American culture here. Gardena is a great place, so we want to make sure that in the annals of history in the state of California that we are recognized. So, Madam Mayor, with that, so ends my report.
Okay, thank you. A couple of quick announcements here. Hands-on gardening workshop, which will be Saturday, March the 18th. I think that's a Saturday, from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. This will be at Raleigh Park, and this is where you can get classroom instruction as well as hands-on information as it relates to gardening. Also on this coming Saturday and Sunday, we have the first ZNA USA Koi show that will be happening here at City Hall Complex. Saturday, it's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. On Sunday, it's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you've never been to that before, it's really great looking at the koi fish, and some of these fish cost as much as $40,000 to $50,000. And there's these little pools all over the City Hall lawn here. So a lot of it's interesting to see if you've never seen it before, and the event is free. And we also have a painting workshop for our seniors, which is Wednesday, March the 22nd from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and that's going to be at the Nakoka Community Center. We also have a girls' night out, which is Friday, March 24th, This is at Nakoka Community Center. Doors open at 6 p.m. and activities start at 6:30. We also have our State of the City that's going to happen on March the 30th here at City Hall. I'm sorry, I don't have a flyer in front of me. And that too will be here at the Nakoka Center. It will begin at 6 p.m. We have our Tacos and Taxes, which is a community resource fair. And that's being put on by State Senator Stephen Bradford. And that will be on April 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They are taking appointments. Telephone number for that is area code 626-545-9351. We have our Spring Carnival coming up, which is going to be on Friday, April 7th, Saturday, April 8th, and Sunday, April 9th. The times vary: Friday 5 to 10, Saturday 2 to 10, and Sunday 2 to 10. This will happen at Moss Fukai Park, which is located at 158th and Brighton Avenue in the city of Gardena. We have our Spring Youth Camp, which will be April 3rd through the 7th. And registration has already begun for this, and it will be from ages 5 to 12, and their camp locations are Freeman Park and Johnson Park. We also have our Easter Egg Extravaganza, which is Saturday, April the 8th from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30. That too will be at the Nakoka Community Center. And lastly, we have our free shredding event for Gardena residents, which will be Saturday, April the 29th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., and that too will be at City Hall Complex. With that, we're going to move on to our remembrances. Tonight, we're going to adjourn in memory of Officer Thomas Martinez, former retired police officer with the Gardena Police Department. We're also going to adjourn in memory of John Jimenez, who was 91 years of age, lifelong resident of Gardena. He is survived by his wife, Florence, and children, Connie, Irene, Robert, and Susan, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. He will be dearly missed by his family. And then lastly, we're going to adjourn to memory of Councilmember Love's mother. So at this time, the Gardena City Council will adjourn to our closed session portion of our City Council meeting, which will be at 7 p.m., followed by our regular City Council meeting at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, March 28, 2022. We are adjourned.